Welcome back to the Nerdrotic podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I come to you live from San Francisco, California. I also come to you from nerdrotic.com. And down in San Diego is my good friend and co-host, Dennis Bithoulkas. What is up, Dennis?
Nothing much. How you doing, beardless one?
A little lighter in the face. That's all, a little shaving accident. And I had to make an impression. I talked about it last podcast. Yeah, it's gone. I can grow it back really fast, so it's already starting. So, most importantly, the wife is okay with it. So there you go. Dennis, you were missing from our spirited, but I believe very adult conversation about a non-adult thing, Star Wars. It was a podcast that aired last Friday night. I think yeah, during your we mentioned that you wanted nothing to do with us and quit the show. No, I'm just kidding. That you had a holiday party and you had to get your booze on, and John and I discussed it in depth. I am not going to add much to it. You're going to give your 2 cents a little bit later. Yeah, because I don't want it to be a bashing Star Wars thing. Now, no matter how I feel about it, I don't want to be just hating on Star Wars. That's not the point of this, actually. What I know, what you're going to say and what I say and what John says all comes from a good place. We all think Star Wars fans deserve better. At least that's what I think. But there's a lot of other. I mean, I know it's been talked about a million times by a million podcasts, but we're going to be 1,000,001, like I've said before, on the Disney Fox deal. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But let's start out with the news.
Yes. You have probably seen, if you follow our Facebook page, and if you haven't, do it now.
Please.
Please, yes. We have put up the new Hawk and Dove photo from the new Titans, live action Titans show that's going to be on the DC streaming network. And it's starring, Alan Ritchson and Minka Kelly are playing Hawk and Dove respectively. And so we have the photo that came up of their new costumes. And interesting, I really did like Hawk's cape. The cape looks really cool. It looks like Hawk's cape. Only thing I didn't like was Dove's eyes. I mean, they're big, like in the comics, but it doesn't look like it's sitting right on her face. It looks like it's sitting above, almost like where she can see through. That was the only thing that was kind of weird for me on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this picture up so we can show it while you're talking about it there.
But I mean, it looks comic book accurate. There we go. So yeah, I mean, you could see his cape looks really cool, and that's why they have him facing back like that, so you can see those kind of almost like bladed wings, if you will, on the back of his cape. And her eyes are huge, like they are in the comics, but it looks like it's sitting up just a little too high. That's the only thing. Kind of like his as well. His nose piece is sitting up a little bit high as well.
Well, I don't think they can have it covering their nose. Yeah, it does look a little high, but I love it. It looks very Watchmen, though. It looks like Alan Moore's Hawk and Dove. That looks cool, though. I'm loving everything, which isn't much, that I'm seeing out of this Titan show. I'm a little biased. I love the Teen Titans. They're probably my favorite DC team, and that's all from the Marv Wolfman and George Perez era. But it looks pretty cool. Again, though, it's going to be part of the big theme of tonight's podcast is streaming services and like how we're going to get nickeled and dimed to death on this stuff, and just like what's going to be the threshold. But I will be subscribing to. I wonder what's going to be on this DC. I know it's going to be all their animated stuff. Are they going to do other live action?
That I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe they might have like the old Batman 1960s series on there. I mean, since they do own that. I know it's Warner Bros.
Own it now? I thought Fox owns it, which means Disney owns it. Yeah.
Well, in that case, who knows?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. That will be interesting.
Yeah, I think they're going to probably have CW stuff, and who knows what they're going to have on it. Yeah. Is it going to? I mean, what are they going to charge? That's another thing too. Is how much is this going to be? If it's a few bucks, I got no problem with that. I could dish that out. But the thing is, when you're on the web, the minute it hits your streaming service, that means it's on Pirate Bay like 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
So that is something everybody's got to think about. And I guess when we talk about the net neutrality thing a little later, that we can dive into that and the problem that's going to present. I think that's been one of the biggest problems with digital comics, to be honest with you.
People have been pirating the crap out of those.
Well, yeah, because they're too expensive. They're forced to be expensive because the comic shops would completely rebel if they lowered the price, which they have for the back issue, quote unquote, content. That's a problem, because it should be cheaper, or there should be a subscription service, but then you're directly competing against your comic shop. But you got to think about the type of people. I'm not saying this as an insult, but the people who would get digital comics. And if you make it easier, or your reader is bad, and I know Comixology is pretty good, but it's not perfect. And you can get stuff on Pirate Bay. I know they offered the complete Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 500. I believe they did this with the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, these PDF versions that were on CD-ROMs that I sold at my store. And dude, those were open. There was no password or anything. You could just download the PDFs of the comics, and that's what's out there right now. And it was their fault, because they didn't even think about that. They didn't think about, just make it a downloadable PDF that you could print. You can literally print the damn things. I still have them, and and believe it or not, they're all on Pirate Bay and wherever else you go. Not that I go to Pirate Bay; it's a terrible place to go. Torrenting is bad, and it's stealing. It is. So I don't know. Titans, though, I think it's going to be good. It's going to be worth if we're $4.99 a month, I would say.
Yeah, $4.99. I'll pay for it. Anything above that, no. I can wait till till the entire season drops, and then I'll pay it for what is it, a week, or get the free trial. Binge, done.
Yeah. And I'd like. Are they going to keep doing these binge drops? Which it seems like, Hulu's definitely not doing it. Amazon seems to have backed off it a bit, not much, but like they split it in half.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea, honestly. I think even if your show is really, really, really good, I think it's just out of the ether. It's too quick. People binge it and they just forget about, like, Punisher. Nobody's talking about the Punisher anymore, except we will be, but for a little thing. But like, it's not like if it was an episode released every week, you got, like I've said before, you got people recapping it on and reviewing it on YouTube, and people are talking about it and devising theories and getting into the show. I just think it's better. For that reason.
6-episode arc like we did for the Tick. I mean, we've seen our numbers for that wasn't very high, and I don't think it was the content. I think it was just because they dropped all 6 episodes all at once.
Yeah, there's no sense of community. Like, you don't feel like everybody's watching it on their own time. Mm-hmm. And when you have the Mass Effect, you have everybody watching it at once, and when Game of Thrones is over and there's a red wedding, people go online and freak out, and that is free advertisement for your show forever. Yeah.
Walking Dead,
television.
We just had the end of the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead last week, which there was a big reveal of who was going to die. And if you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to spoil it for you. So now I'm going to spoil it for you. Carl Grimes got bit, and he's a goner. He's basically going to die. So that, you have that at the end of the episode. You're going week by week, and everyone is kind of with that together, on either on the net or through Talking Dead. And, Talking Dead, we have to kind of give that the props for a lot of the recap stuff that we're doing. That kind of pushed things ahead quite a bit in the recap community.
Yeah.
I think you're getting comments coming in right now.
I see Ben Dover. Where's Phil McCrevis?
Phil McCracken.
Phil McCracken. He says, "Hey guys, first time catching you live. Love your podcast videos. Keep up the good work. Greetings from Germany. What up, Germany?
Hello,
That is
Germany.
amazing. Yeah, what time is it over there? Golly,
It
it's like
is
9 hours, 8 hours, something like that. I'm thinking London.
It is 8 hours, so they are. What is it?
It's
We've got
tomorrow.
5 here, like 3. Yeah,
We're traveling
3 in
in
the
time,
afternoon.
man.
No, in the morning. No,
They can pay.
I take that back. It is 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning there.
Yeah, he's up early. That's good. Or maybe he was up all night, partying, coming down with us. Right on. Hey, so yeah, I don't know what that stuff. Let's talk about. Well, since we were just talking about the Punisher, we have some good news.
So season 2 of The Punisher has been greenlit at Netflix, which is good. I want to see more of John Bernthal as the Punisher.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder that do they retain the rights as long as they keep greenlighting stuff? Because I'm pretty sure that's the deal, and I think that's the deal with yeah, like they can keep it. It's just like owning the film rights, and why Fox just kept making X-Men movies even when it looked like it was dead in the water. It's like, no, we need to keep these rights. It's worth it. And I think Netflix can do this till the end of time if they want to. But the sad thing is we're not going to get it. We're not going to get the cohesive Marvel universe that we thought we were going to get. And that's, Perlmutter. And we've already talked about that, and Kevin Feige. And that's too bad because I would have loved to have seen them in Infinity War just for
Kevin Feige has turned around again. I just read something that he posted recently, that he had said recently, that yes, the TV stuff is in continuity with the MCU. So I don't understand now because he keeps flip-flopping back and forth. First he says it is, then he says it isn't. Now he's back to saying it is again.
Well, I think this goes back to what John said that, and I forgot the name, so forgive me. There was a board member, and I believe it was the guy who used to run WB, who Kevin Feige had to report to. Okay. That person has been removed. So Kevin Feige essentially runs Marvel. And according to John, who is in the know, he does contract work for Disney, and he's working on a very large thing for them. That Kevin Feige has control over everything Marvel at this point. That's the word on the street. So he's controlling TV. He could even have some say in the comic books. I don't know if he wants that kind of control. I wonder if they are grooming him to take Iger's place. I would say yes.
Yeah, probably.
Iger's going to be out in a couple of years. He already said that.
He's 2020, 2021, he's going to be out.
Yeah, so I could totally say Kevin Feige taking his place. And that would be just a no-brainer at that point. I wouldn't give it to Kathleen Kennedy, which we will get into. But that's good. That's good news, man. The Punisher was a great series, and I want way more of that. And I still think, Netflix has hit some bumps lately, but their first couple of years, man, they hit everything right with the first season of Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Daredevil season 1 and 2. And I think they rallied with the Punisher. I think they really got back to form.
Yeah, and we even had a trailer for Jessica Jones. Speaking of Jessica Jones, we had the second season trailer drop, which looks pretty good. I'm interested in seeing how that's gonna.
It does. Careful of spoilers here. I am a little disappointed that the Purple Man, David Tennant, is just going to be kind of just a residual in her head, like
we don't know.
An imaginary friend. That's the going theory right now.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case myself, but
I hope not. I hope it's something different. But that's the theory. So I mean that means what? Yeah, how's I mean it could still be interesting, but I think he is extremely important to that show. To be honest with you, I don't know how good that show could be without him. So I don't know. I hate to say that, but it's a grim show. I hope we get Patsy Walker Hellcat though, like in costume.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And you have to admit, he is Marvel's cinematic most frightening character that we've had. Villain.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Easily.
Without a doubt. The best villains have been in Netflix, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I take that back. Okay, there has been one better, and that was Legion. with the Shadow King.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
but that's Fox.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, honestly, Magneto's been a great villain in the X-Men movies. Like, see, the reason the X-Men movies succeed is because there's a lot of good things in the badness of them. You know what I mean? The Magneto being played by two people great. Professor X being played by two people great. Just some really bad plots surrounding them. Like Hugh Jackman's performance in every movie, even the bad ones, is great. Like he sells out. He is awesome as Wolverine.
Yeah.
You know, and he got a good swan song. He got a great swan song, to be honest with you. And yeah, they got snubbed on the Golden Globes. Wonder Woman and Logan both got snubbed, which means I guess they don't like ratings at the Golden Globes. I guess they don't want anybody watching.
Yeah, no one watches the Golden Globes anyway.
I mean, I guess The Shape of Water is going to win everything, and that does actually look pretty damn good. I'm going to go see it. Basically, it's it's Hellboy 3, without Hellboy, but
the early
Abe Sapien falls in love.
And speaking of renewals, we also got a renewal for a show that we both cover, Mr. Robot, season 4.
Yes, this is not surprising at all. The ratings were actually up towards the end of the season. I went and checked after being down a little bit, but ratings on TV are down across the board. By the way, I don't know if anybody knows this, but if you look at any ratings, everything's off about 10%. And that's including live TV, football, everything. And there's so many reasons involved. The main run is cord cutting. And that's why, we're getting what I believed a panicked decision with the sale of Fox. But we'll get, again, that's something. Do you want to talk about that now? Or do you want to talk about it after Star Wars?
We'll roll into that. Well, let's talk about it after Star Wars.
Okay.
It'll be a longer discussion.
Sure.
Star Wars will be. And so you want to know what my opinion was of Star Wars, The Last Jedi?
Yes. Oh, hey, we got some comments too.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Yeah. MBH, you guys a little bit unrelated, but okay. Yo, guys, a little bit unrelated, but I just hopped on to say that I love your talks about Mr. Robot. Hey, MBH, thank you so much. Much love from Israel. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to stop being amazed by that stuff. All right. I know probably sound like an idiot, but that is so freaking cool. I love YouTube.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, and I like that, we're on a little bit earlier for our people that are over in Europe and other places as well. Middle East, Africa. I know we have some African viewers as well. And I think we even had an Australian viewer as well, correct? Am I wrong?
Yes. Yeah. YouTube is going to bring the world together, right?
Nice.
Okay. F these politicians.
We just need Antarctica for the circle takes.
We do need Antarctica. I know a chef down there. She's pretty awesome. She's probably down there right now. Ben Dover, and said it's 2:30 a.m. over there right now.
I'm sorry, I went the opposite direction.
Bam says, "Love your podcast, guys. Greeting from the Netherlands." Wow, this is Nerdrotic International. There he
How's
go.
it going, Bam?
And Mohammed says hello. Hello, Mohammed.
Mohammed, good to see you again.
Star Wars is overhyped. Absolutely. Peace to you too, man. Yes, I cut my beard. It was an accident. My wife, who is a hairstylist, usually does all that stuff for me, but the holidays are a bit busy. So dumbass Gary decides to go do it himself because I had to go somewhere to make an impression, and I cut half my mustache off. So I had to
during the holidays has to make an appointment with his wife in order to get his hair cut.
That is during the holidays. That's all. I have to make an appointment with my wife to get a haircut. Period. She's a busy woman. She's really good at what she does.
I know this because I've known them for a long time. So,
God, I've known you for 15 years now, man.
Yeah,
15 years, long time. Oof.
Yeah, actually, it's been longer than that. Wasn't 2000?
No, it was 2002 when we met. We met before I bought the we were both customers at the comic store that I ended up buying, and we met talking about like Hellboy. I think we were talking about Hellboy, and of course Russ wanted to talk to us about the Iraqi war, and we're like, at the time. Hey, Jody's in. What's up? Apparatus is here. Hey, plus one, you guys got me into Mr. Robot. Just bought season 3 and binged most of it in a couple of days. Damn.
Nice. Hopefully
how do you
brain is
feel
intact.
after that? Yeah, Mr. Robot's heavy, man. Gary, you look much younger without the facial hair. Thank you. I could totally cosplay Constantine now. I have done it. I should have just shaved it for Halloween, right?
You should have.
Okay, so we're caught up with the comments, guys. So I already talked about Star Wars. If you want to know what I thought, there's a podcast that came out on Friday. Please check it out. John and I have a very civil, but sometimes heated discussion about it. I did not like it. Okay, so I'll just say that we don't want to bash it, but we do give all of our hosts here a chance to give us their opinion, and it's now Dennis's turn.
I didn't like it either. I went into it with lowered expectations. About 5 minutes in, when they started doing the kind of pop culture references, I'm waiting for so-and-so. I'll that's okay. I'll wait on hold, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, no. Don't do this stuff. Don't do the pop culture reference stuff because it's going to get dated really, really fast. And they kept doing it throughout the movie. And how can I say this? It was kind of like someone took the original trilogy, fast forwarded to all the good parts, copied it poorly, and then put those sections up on the screen with newer actors in place of the older actors. And then there's one line in there, and I'm going to be paraphrasing this. I believe Kylo Ren says, Krylo Ren says, the old ways or the old must die. The old ways must die, something like that, for the new to take place. I'm like, so you just basically summed up what you're doing with this movie, because you're killing off everything old so that you can replace them with your new stuff. You still want to make money off the corpse, but you just kind of want to replace it with newer actors and do the same old thing, even though you're saying you're doing something fresh and you're not. And everyone kept saying, oh, well, this movie's going to be the Empire movie. And I'm like, okay, good. They didn't open up with the Hoth scene, but they ended with the Hoth scene.
Hey, no, it was totally different, Dennis. It was salt.
That's right. It was salt. It wasn't ice, but it had trenches. There were so many things. And the Camino Blight scene, is that right? Camino Bite, whatever it was, the casino thing was totally worthless. That was a 45-minute gap of film that didn't need to be there, just so they can introduce Benicio del Toro. And I could have solved your problem with, okay, you have the ship being tracked. You already kind of solved it there in your movie already. All you do is you have all the other ships, the smaller ships, get on board the big ship. They refuel up. You jump to one jump. Everyone gets out and jumps again, leaving the big ship behind. You scatter to different locations, and you leave one pilot aboard the big ship. That's all you got to do.
Which is what they ended up doing.
Exactly what they ended up doing, but killing a whole bunch of people in the process.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like,
I would have just called Yoda and have him lightning. I mean, he. And
that was the other thing too that disturbed me is, okay, so Yoda calls down lightning to ignite the tree, but the books aren't in there, because we see the books aboard the Millennium Falcon inside Rey's, I guess, Chester drawer there, her drawer underneath her bed.
Yep.
And I'm like, so who put that in there? Because Luke obviously didn't, because he was going in there to burn the books. Did Rey do it? Did Chewie do it? Did the Porgs do it? Who did it?
It was the Porgs, obviously. I brought that up in the podcast when Kylo said that, and I think Luke says it at somebody else says it at some point. I can't remember.
Yeah.
That was clear message. Just like when they started A Force Awakens and they said this begins to make things right, which is now that we look back at that statement, that was a little overconfident there. Canto Bite, says Jody.
Canto Bite. Blight is an apropos term.
Is it worth going to the movies to see or find it on the internet? I will say if you can find someplace really cheap to go see it. I mean, I spent a stupid amount of money to go see it in my little Barcalounger chair and paid for parking in San Francisco. So I ended up paying what, 30 something bucks to go see a movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
I spent $9.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of money as far as I was concerned for it. And I also want to say the very end too with the kids, and you see the one kid who uses the Force to bring the broomstick into his hand, which is a subtle thing, and then having the very Disney ending with the stars shooting across the sky without having the magic castle, the underneath it, and I was like, really, you guys are going with the Disney ending? Seriously? You just are really gonna like whomp people over the head with a Disney ending? That after. I almost wanted to puke at that point. So, not a big fan.
Yeah. And like, you weren't a fan of The Force Awakens. I was like iffy on Force Awakens, but I ended up not being a fan of The Force Awakens. I liked Rogue One, but I've only seen Rogue One once. Okay. If I went back and saw it again, I'm sure I would go, well, maybe I just like the Darth Vader scene at the end because that was kick-ass. It's not like you're not a Star Wars fan. You are a huge fan of Star Wars Rebels.
I love Star Wars Rebels. Yeah.
You and I are both fans of the Clone Wars.
Yep.
Love the Clone Wars. I love both versions of the Clone Wars. I love. I have many action figures. I was a huge fan. We already talked about that. This was my problem with it, Dennis. It was the treatment of Luke Skywalker overall. I probably could have forgiven everything else, even the big nothing burger that was Snoke. But Luke's treatment, the treatment of him, it was exactly what you said. They were just like, they want to get rid of it. They want to make money off the corpse. And that's what it felt like. I don't know if that was exactly their intention, but that's how it felt. As an old Star Wars fan, it just felt like we don't, want you or need you anymore. And that's fine. I was apathetic towards Star Wars anyway, because of the Clone Wars. So I wasn't all bought in, I could take or leave it, to be honest with you. Yeah. And I decide to leave it. I will not be seeing the next movie. Unless it's free right in front of me, or unless people really want to, hear about it on the podcast. Of course I would honor their request. Even if it's one person, but and not that I think that my opinion is the be all end all. This is just my opinion, and my opinion might be skewed because I'm an older guy, and I saw Star Wars when it came out. I saw it blossom, and it's a different thing to me than it is to the newer Star Wars fans. So I don't mean to disrespect newer Star Wars fans, because they might be seeing something completely different than I am. So I totally get that. And if they get enjoyment out of it, I am not insulting them in any way for enjoying that. I don't want to be offensive to any of them. I actually got your back, Star Wars fans, and so does Dennis. We think that the more people out there who criticize this stuff when it happens, that it forces Disney to be better.
I want good storytelling, and I mean there is a way of doing good storytelling without having to sacrifice. That was a 2.5 hour long movie. Like I said, you could have cut 45 minutes of that out by getting rid of the Camino bite scene, the casino scene, because it didn't need to happen.
We could just call it the bite scene.
The bite scene, yeah. And that was just to bring in Benicio del Toro. You still could have had them sneak aboard the ship. You still could have had them break in, because again, that's them sneaking aboard the the Star Destroyer in the first movie to turn off the tractor beam so they can get away. Yeah. And because, there is a tracker on board the Millennium Falcon. How do I remember this? Because I was just watching it earlier today. And
they put a tracker on. It's not like the first time they've ever done that. Now, did we ever see the tracker they put on the ship in, did I just miss that part?
No, they never said, how they could do it.
Magic tracker. Okay.
Magic tracker.
I have to ask you, Leia flying. What did you think?
Yeah. I was thinking of the Wizard of Oz. I'm like, hey, someone watched the Wizard of Oz recently. Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. She comes flying out of the sky. Well, also the thing that pissed me off is they name all the old characters that died, like all the generals that just happened to be aboard the bridge at the same time that got sucked out into space, and she was the only one that survived. And I'm like, so you basically just killed off all your old characters all at once to prove a point.
Yeah. Did they mention General Ryken in there? Is he still around? Yeah.
No. Everyone's gone. Akbar, Riken, all of them, they're all gone.
Oh my God.
So Leia was the only one that survived out of the old generals.
And the logic of like they had two great opportunities to kill her off, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So how are you going to explain that? I think my theory was they're going to do a big old time jump at the end. They're going like Kylo's going to be grown up and become emperor, and the rebellion is like 5 people, and it's going to have grown, and Rey will have, been training with Ghost Luke and Ghost Yoda. And
let's also, at the end,
is J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, I know. And then you have the Millennium Falcon on a planet that is surrounded now by what are they called now? It's not the Empire. It's I'm sorry, I didn't bother to remember
the First Order.
The First Order. There we go. Because it was just fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry, but they're surrounding the planet. So supposedly the Millennium Falcon should not be able to get away at this point, even though it's loaded down with all these people, because they decimated their entire fleet.
What do they got to worry about? I wouldn't really be worried at this point. Like Luke Skywalker's gone, unless the Yoda ghost comes by and lightnings everything, which I said in the last podcast. I don't want to say that too much. Sorry, guys. Like the guys that how it should have ended are going to have a field day with this movie, because there was like 90 different ways it could have ended really quick. And it's just the Luke thing is just infuriating. Everything else I kind of expected. You know what I mean?
Okay. So there was the other thing too, is hanging in Luke's cottage that he has there is a broken kyber crystal, and a broken
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it was hanging. It's from a necklace that he had hanging up. And everyone was speculating that he actually went back and grabbed his father, Darth Vader's broken kyber crystal, the one that went down into the, reactor from the Death Star.
Yep.
Which isn't the case. That's actually his lightsaber, because when you see him attacking, when he's standing above Ben, and he turns on the lightsaber, it's a green lightsaber that he's got. And then when he's fighting Kylo Ren out in the desert, or wherever they were there, it's a blue lightsaber. That was from the lightsaber that got busted when Kylo Ren basically blew out the entire cabana that they were in and took it down and basically broke his lightsaber in half. So it was him being broken. I get that. Just a lot of people didn't. I was catching a lot of little things here and there as it was flying.
I caught that. It was systematically destroying the character of Luke Skywalker, and nobody can tell me that this was by accident. This is exactly what they set out to do. And I don't know why. Well, I know why. They want to elevate their characters, and there seems to be this trend lately in all of entertainment that we want to replace. Having a mantle character is great. Having new characters is great. It's almost like you're punishing fans. You're punishing fandom. You're splitting fandoms in two. And I understand if they want to, I think as a business model, trying to break fandom might not be a bad idea. Fandom can control and destroy a franchise. It can be really hard to deal with. And I think somebody in some marketing firm got to everybody and convinced them that breaking a fandom is good. And here's why: because you'll be free to do with what you want. What you'll do, you're going to piss off some people, but you have a lot of goodwill right now, Star Wars. You're going to make money. So let's break the fandom now. We'll make money. We'll piss off all the old fans. They'll go away, but we'll get new fans. And the old fans won't be there with their dogma. I can almost see a logic in that. Problem is, the new fans are never going to buy as much as I did, as you did, because the millennials and even Gen Xers like me, we don't buy a lot of stuff anymore. We're not consumers as much as we used to, thanks to 2008. And there's little, Funko Pops and T-shirts, but you also want to sell your $275 hot toy Darth Vader, which I believe with a lot of people you've just made worthless. And and you also, the people with the most money are the ones in their late 30s and stuff. And you want them consuming your products. There's a great video by the world class bullshitters. Love them or hate them. Mr. Hicks from the world class bullshitters went out and did a video on Star Wars toys and how they're just all sitting on the shelf untouched. Like there's just tons of them.
Yeah, I know we've talked about that before, and how, and I see it as well. I mean, it's really, really bad. You can tell that no one's buying any of this. No one's buying Kylo Ren. No one's buying Rey toys. No one's buying Finn toys. No one's buying Poe toys.
Nope.
They're buying Porg toys, yes.
Yes.
But that's about it. I mean, and that's just because that fad will last but as long as the Beanie Babies did.
Yeah. So let's get caught up with the comments a little bit. Okay, we'll start out with Jody. And sorry if I miss any. We got to kind of sift through this, but I do like to read as many as I can. So, do you think maybe the jokes made you think, is this a Family Guy parody version? Yes.
Yeah, there was a couple of times when, really, you guys are just, I mean, you're almost doing fart jokes at this point.
Okay. And Amparillis, if I'm mispronouncing your name, tell me how to pronounce that again one more time. Sorry, it'll catch next time, I swear. But it's like they put all these mystery boxes in The Force Awakens and then didn't bother to put anything in them. So they have the seeds of those problems from the very start. Absolutely. They took some of the problems from the first one and actually made fun of them. Like the crushing of Kylo's helmet. The Kanata, I want to say La Canada, whatever. She is playing laser tag or something, and they just dismiss her. There's so many things they just Rey's parents are just were alcoholic junk dealers. Snoke, why did he exist?
Was he there? Yeah, what was his purpose?
Yeah, so it's almost like Rian Johnson was about to take the trilogy in his own direction, then not do the 9th movie. So J.J. Abrams back, now left with, okay, I planted a bunch of seeds for you. You threw them all away, and now I'm back to do something that J.J. is not known for, ladies and gentlemen, finishing. He is not known for finishing anything. I think he's the wrong guy. Full disclosure, I watched it 3 times in the cinemas, and for one of them, in a special Lazy Boy seat cinema, that was the first viewing. Yeah, I love those Barca loungers, I gotta admit. It's a nicer chair I got.
If I was watching that one of those chairs, I would have fallen asleep.
Yeah, I got to drink a lot of coffee before that happens. I have to admit that. By the third viewing, the initial viewing it through rose-colored glasses wore off. Oh man, I just popped. There we go. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to skip ahead now. There we go. Love Clone Wars animated series. This is all Jody, by the way. There we go. They need to put Don Filoni in charge of Star Wars Story Group.
Dan Filoni, he's the guy who did Clone Wars and then also Star Wars Rebels.
Dennis agrees, and I'm at that point too. I'm like, yes, he's the only guy who seems to understand and like this thing at all,
and knows the tone of it too. I mean, he actually can get the tone of Star Wars right. And I'm not talking about the original trilogy. I'm talking about just the universe itself.
Jody, I agree with you on this one. Gary and Dennis, I think the Canto Bite scene quest was basically there to set up the next trilogy from the Stable Boy. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think about it, but hell yeah.
I know also, there to set up it's supposed to be the new Force children, the new children that are Force sensitive. I already knew that's what they were trying to go with. It just was kind of a stupid way of doing it, honestly. And also, it felt like a video game side mission to me. You know?
Yeah. Well, if they had actually accomplished something at the end, like crack the code or something, I'd have been okay with it. Benicio del Toro was fine in it. He's great in everything, so I got no problem with him. Finn is nothing character. Actually, I find Finn way more annoying. I know a lot of people found Rose annoying. I thought she was fine, but for what they gave her, I thought she was fine.
Did you laugh when I did when she kissed him? And I'm like, oh, honey, he's gay.
I thought
he's got a thing for Poe.
No, I don't know. It's it's Disney. I just yeah. Yeah, well, definitely. Well, yeah. There's no romance in this either.
Yeah, there
You know,
isn't
I mean, there's the
anything else.
kissing, and I guess that was kind of that wasn't really. I don't
It
know. I
wasn't.
didn't feel like chemistry there at all. Yeah, Jody agrees. Yeah, really, the show runner of Rebels, cool. Yeah, I was against that, but now I'm for it. I know I sound like John Kerry, but I was against that, but I was for. Now I'm for it. I was like,
It
I
could
am
be the
because
reason
like
why this is the last season of Rebels too. Maybe he's going to go off and start doing
no, they
the
gave Ryan
movies.
Johnson a new trilogy. I think.
Yeah, I
Also, you
know.
got to remember when they announce stuff like that. When they announce like, oh, we're gonna do a trilogy later with this director, it's for promotional reasons. They can always go back on that and say there was creative differences, and
Yeah.
so I wouldn't count on Ryan Johnson getting a trilogy. I just wouldn't count on it unless he just plays so well in Kathleen Kenny. This all lays at her feet. Okay,
Don't forget Lawrence Kasdan too. Lawrence
well, he wasn't
Kasdan.
involved in this movie at all.
Uh,
Right, he's part of. I don't know if he's part of the writing because this is the writing room. John didn't believe me, but Kathleen Kennedy uses a writing room for Star Wars, and then they plot something out, and then the director, like Ryan Johnson, writes a script, but it's based on what her writing room comes up with.
yeah, and I
It's
think
like a TV series.
he's part of the head of the writing room, from what I understand.
I blame him fully for Force Awakens. Ryan Johnson's to blame for this one. Kathleen Kennedy's blamed, and Disney is to blame of Star Wars. We will get way more into that later. And again, I don't want to totally Star Wars can still turn around. There's still, but it's going to be a lot harder now because you've just ruined, in my opinion, the two of the three people that you loved, and Harrison Ford being the most loved, Luke Skywalker being second. You ruin their legacies. And you just don't do that and not pay for it later.
Yep. And not only that, Yoda just seemed kind of evil in this one too. The Force Ghost Yoda was kind of like, you know what? I'm tired of being a Force Ghost. Screw this. I'm gonna just burn everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? What the hell was that?
Well, the whole thing is supposed to be we're supposed to bring balance to the Force, and I think you're misinterpreting the power of two. It wasn't just for the Sith. There's always supposed to be a good and a bad. And then we get a balance or some blah, blah, blah like that. The problem is you need a good villain. And although I am on record saying that I think Kylo Ren was a better character in this one than he was in the first one, I think he's just a character. He's not the villain. I think his journey was actually, if they give us more details on it, I think it's the most interesting, to be honest with you. I love the fact that there's the problem is he's the Skywalker legacy now. When it's all said and done, we watched the original trilogy to get to here, which means Luke died in cowardice and defeat. Han Solo left his son, abandoned his son. And Luke tried to kill a teenager. I thought about it for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Disney. Oh my God. I mean, 799 were something I thought about forever. I mean, they talked about that back in the old Bantha tracks of the Star Wars fan club, which I was a proud member of. And George Lucas had always said that he had 9 chapters and they were all supposed to be Skywalker. And now, I mean, they're, Ben's your legacy. And, at this point, if he turns good, I mean, what good does it do? I mean, he's like,
he's already killed 2 people that,
there's a word for that called irredeemable.
Yeah.
He's irredeemable, unless in this world, just Han is disposable. And I'm not going to say I coined the term, but this is disposable Star Wars. That's what this is. This is like manga. Manga in Japan, it's meant to be disposable. I mean, like you read your book and you're done. You get to the next one. Not all manga, but some. That's what this feels like. It's just meant to be consumed, thrown away, get to the next thing. I don't know. Gary, it feels like there's a misandrous subtext to the new Star Wars trilogy. It's starting to feel like they want to elevate the female leads by making the male characters look bad. That is undeniable fact. And I am not like this woo patriarchy or matriarch. I'm actually a person who believes that men and women should run stuff equally. I don't know. That's crazy. I don't want to see one sex in charge of anything. And That is definitely the case because everybody in charge has been a woman. And I'm just pointing out what I see. Okay. And they chastised Poe Dameron for being a hero in a Star Wars movie. I was like, what? I mean, yeah, he was a little reckless, but call him reckless. But they mentioned twice, both Leia and what was the other admiral's name?
I don't know. She died, so I didn't bother to learn her name.
Laura Dern. Laura Dern chastised him for being a hero, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? What? You know, and I'm, you know, women have been in charge in Star Wars. You know, in Return of the Jedi, they've always, so that's normal. But like, I mean, the only dude that was in charge was Snoke.
See, the thing that got me though too was they knew everything he was telling him already, and yet they were doing something really stupid. In the end, they end up doing what he wanted them to do in the first place, which it was just all kinds of weird. And it's like, okay, well, why did you have this long drawn out thing that you did? If you knew you're going to sacrifice yourself, like what she did, have that be part of your plan in the first place, or an option. Saying, okay, we're going to turn the big ship around and we're just going to hyper jump it through these guys and wipe out.
That little scene was cool. I mean, how they got there was a little weird, but the hyper jumping through a ship, that was a cool scene. I will totally admit that. I want more of that. You're right. The logic of this thing was, you know, Star Wars was never big on details. It was never big on details. We never knew like how stuff got paid for or anything. We just know it was good versus bad. So now they've taken away the good versus bad. And it's also been co-opted because it's become too big to succeed. It's been co-opted by messaging. We're getting meta in Star Wars.
Yeah.
We're putting in like, you know, current events, dumb jokes. I honestly do not know how anybody could. This did not feel like a Star Wars movie. I would say Force of the Awakens felt like a Star Wars movie more than this movie did.
Yeah. And the reason for this, honestly, is Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson, you were saying it didn't make any sense, any logical sense. I'm going to go back to Looper. Looper was a good movie up until the last 15 minutes when he wrote himself into a corner. And then he cops out and he disregards all the laws that he already set up. And it's like, no, you can't do that.
I agree with Jean-Claude Van Johnson. Time Cop is better.
Exactly. What episode are you on, by the way?
I'm on the 4th episode. It's so good. It's so wonderful. I love it so much. The first 15 minutes is pure gold of the first episode. That's on Amazon, guys. Jean-Claude Van Johnson. It is. We might even be talking about it. It is genius. It is good stuff.
Okay. We're gonna get into the time travel stuff in that episode. That's all I'm gonna say.
I have one toy from the new films. The droid from Rogue One, which was easily the best character in that movie. Besides Darth Vader at the end. I hated that they used funny Yoda. Yoda dropped the funny act like the second he revealed himself to Luke. Exactly. Yeah, they used the first 2 minutes of Yoda. You know,
it was Fozzie Bear. Is what it was.
Yeah.
It was Frank Oz doing Fozzie Bear as Yoda.
Yeah, he wanted to, I guess he was trolling. That'd be funny. You know what would suck is if he knocks up Rey, and that's how we get Skywalker line to continue. You know, they're going to end up king and queen, or prince and princess, because this is Disney. You know, that's how they're going to end up. They're going to fight each other. Rey's going to defeat him. He's going to see the error of his ways, and she's going to forgive him. And and she will be in charge, and he will be her second in command, because that's the way Star Wars is right now. It's not for us anymore, guys and gals. It's not for us old Star Wars fans. It's not made for us.
You remember when our biggest problem was we didn't like the Ewoks?
Those are the good old days, and Ewoks and Jar Jar jumping for joy that they had the horse rabbits running around. Which was really just horrifically bad. That was bad CG. It felt like prequels right there. That
thing too. Was the CGI really, really bad in this, or is it just me?
That was bad.
Okay.
It was. I mean, there was some stuff that was excellent. Okay, like some of the space battling was really excellent. I can't deny that. But yeah, Gary, I believe the ones with the right skills should be the ones given the job. Doesn't matter what their gender, race, etc. Skills. If they have the right skills, they get the job. Exactly. Meritocracy. You get, if you're good, doesn't matter what you look like, who you are, what you believe in, you get the job. It's the way I run. That's the way I ran my businesses. It's the way Melissa runs her business. That's the way most businesses run themselves. And the good people will find their way up. Do other people get advantages over other? Yeah, we're not going to get super political about this. I don't deny that. Hell, I'm in San Francisco. Okay, so it's a bit of an echo chamber here, but it's mostly a cool place to live. And California is mostly a cool. It's very expensive though. It's very expensive. Not a fan of that. So they say it was a puppet Yoda that was so. It was also terrible CGI, and for some reason, some of Chewie's close-ups were CGI. They were, right?
They were, yeah.
I thought I was imagining that. Thank you. Why? Because I guess they wanted to get the shape of the mouth right. Who cares?
Yeah, I think it's just because Peter Mayhew is really old now, and the makeup doesn't fit right on him anymore.
Well, he only does the sitting down scenes. There's another guy who does the standing up scenes because even I'm going to drop. I met Peter Mayhew. He came to my shop.
Yeah.
And one of the grumpiest dudes I've ever met in my life. He was sweet to me, though. Just could not. And his wife was super nice. But man, he could talk some smack. It was funny. It was funny. Oh, my God. I cannot repeat some of the stuff. Let's just say he loves George, but he's a David Prowse backer. We'll just say that. And David Prowse is persona non grata with anything Star Wars because he got screwed out of a lot of money. And that's the guy who played Darth Vader, if you don't know before. Kylo Ren is irredeemable, though. He's a self-serving, whining, elitist brat. When he doesn't get his way, he throws a fit. Oh, and he also is a poser wannabe. How does that make him a good leader? It doesn't. Everything's wrong with him. The only thing that would be if he went down, I mean, he'd have to die protecting something good, and that would be the only way he would somewhat redeem himself. Like, I don't think he's allowed to live. I think if you, at the end, like, save like 1,000 children in a crashing ship while you die, then you're forgiven. Okay. And the Porgs were also blending CGI and practical effects. They were. It's all in the mouths, right, Dennis? So they're worried that the mouths will look fake.
Yeah, there was a lot of things like the eyes. Especially that one Porg that was looking at Chewie when he was getting ready to eat one of the Porgs, the barbecue Porg, which by the way is a dark scene, but I thought it was kind of funny.
I would have taken a bite right there. I was waiting for it. I was like, come on, do it. Take a bite.
But that was totally CGI, CGI on that Porg. Because they're trying to make the eyes look really sad looking and big, and it's like, wow, man, you guys like needed to put that one on the render, the render farm just a little bit longer, like maybe about another 18, 20 days.
So that's another thing. I'm going to ask you two questions, Dennis. Would Star Wars, first one, and I'll ask this to the group too, would Star Wars have benefited sticking to the 3-year rule?
For this one?
For the new trilogy, it used to take 3 years between movies. They've bumped it up to 2. It's my belief that's really been part of why these stories are rushed and kind of crappy.
This story, if it would remain the same, it wouldn't have helped it. Tell you the truth.
No, what I'm asking is if they had an extra year to work on it, would it have been better?
No, because I think Rian Johnson still would have screwed it up.
Okay.
It would have helped on the special effects side to actually, firm up some of the special effects, especially the flying Good Witch. Leia through space. That was really bad CGI.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons they can't keep your directors is like it's just impossible to do this in 2 years. That's insane. John dropped a weird truth bomb on us, which is the Star Wars movies are a lot cheaper to make than Marvel movies. So that's why Disney is so in love with this. Disney's opinion on Star Wars over Marvel is that there's too much dogma with Marvel. There's too much continuity to deal with. And Star Wars, they can go out and make their own other world, and they are really quick to dispose of the original trilogy characters. Which, fine, kill them, but give them the send off they deserve.
Or just go, a generation ahead.
Yeah,
and they're already dead. They've already made their contribution or whatever it is, and now you have a new crisis.
But now you're bought and paid for fans like myself. Believe me, if Force Awakens was halfway decent, Dennis and I would have been on board. We'd have been on board, and we would have been okay. It wasn't great, but maybe the next one will be better. And let's say you made a really good movie. You would have had all the new fans and all the old fans buying the crap out of stuff, believing in Rey, doing all that stuff. But, Rey as a character is fine if you give her some development, something, anything. I don't care if it's Rey. That's fine. Rey can be the greatest Jedi of all time. Just tell me how that happens. That's all. That's all I ask. And give Luke. Here's how I would have ended Luke's story. Okay. I know there was a time thing, and that's why he had to do the force projection. But if you're going to go force projection, just go on full on force projection. Have him had a badass lightsaber fight with Kylo, and he ends up actually beating the shit out of him. But what they do is he also wipes out all the walkers. I mean, just being a super uber Jedi.
Yeah.
And in doing that, wiping out all those walkers and taking on Kylo and almost just killing him. But at the end, do what think of Bilbo when he had his chance to kill Gollum. He doesn't do it. He decides to save him. And right then he kind of turns around, winks at Rey or whoever the rebel, and then he disappears. So after decimating the Empire, or not the Empire, the First Order, whatever ships are there, I mean, just doing superhuman kick-ass, like just give us our moment with Luke. And then he's like, okay, I used up my force energy doing this, but it was for a good reason. Like, what did he use up his force energy for? He saved 6 people.
That's the other thing,
he didn't even know he saved them.
So how could he use up his, quote unquote force energy when he just got through teaching Rey and everybody else in the audience what the force is actually about?
And also he hadn't been using his force for a long time. So he had a lot saved up. I'm assuming because force runs out. If it's everywhere and it's everything, shouldn't it just be infinite?
Infinite, exactly. You can neither create nor destroy. That's what it is. It's supposed to be like energy in the universe. You can either create energy or destroy it. And that's what the force is supposed to be. And that's what I don't understand is how he could use this up and disappear like that. It was stupid.
He needed force Viagra.
Yeah.
But after 4 hours, he had to call Obi-Wan.
Oh.
That's a bad joke. Sorry.
Oh.
Okay. Let's get back to the comments because they're better than my jokes. They needed the entire trilogy mapped and mostly written before episode 7. Right. We talked about that last podcast. It feels like they're making up as they go. Yeah. Assuming they spent that time really mapping out the stories, they would have been, this is talking about my 3-year rule instead of 2. They would have been overarching plot, but this new trilogy doesn't seem to have one. No, it doesn't. Like, where the hell are we after this movie? If Force Awakens had been like this, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, how it should have been made by the Hybrid Network. Oh, yeah, by Hybrid Network? I don't know what that means. Is that a video?
I don't know.
I think I should have checked out because I will. A mana pool. Okay, Hector Munoz. What would have I can't read right now. What would have been interesting twist is to see Rey join Kylo, but Disney would never let their female heroine role model to a new younger audience that's watching this. Marketing wise, bad move. Yeah, the problem is every scene of this movie, it looks like it was put before a marketing team before they cut it. and the marketing team put notes in the script, and I promise you that happened. Kathleen Kennedy and the marketing team put notes in the script. Oh yeah, absolutely. Ryan Johnson just goes, yes, ma'am. That's why he kept his job.
And you also gotta remember Ryan Johnson. He's out of his depth. That's all I'm going to say. He really is out of his depth. Just story wise, he was not the right person for the job. That's all I'm going to say.
No, there's a lot. Dennis Villanueva, the guy who did Jurassic Park, whatever. Like, I watched that movie finally, and it was pretty good. I mean, I didn't love it or anything, but he would have been great. There was a lot of good action scenes and stuff. I think he would. That was better than Looper. Man, name some directors who would just be better. I just don't think they'll work for Disney. And the problem is
Duncan Jones. Honestly, they should have just.
Duncan Jones would have been fine. James Gunn. James Gunn would make a great freaking Star Wars
Guy
movie.
Ritchie.
I don't know. He's kind of on the S list. Matthew Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn can direct anything,
but he wouldn't have done it.
Oh hell no. But he would have done a great Star Wars movie. Matthew Vaughn, you kidding me?
Oh yeah, he would have.
They're going to be forced to do something. And this is inherent the problem with Disney buying Fox. Disney having too much power. Is this really a good idea? Everybody's all, yay, X-Men are back in the MCU and stuff, and it does sound fun. With Kevin Feige in charge, it's probably going to be pretty damn good. But I want to step back, step away from being a fanboy / fan man, and I want to look at this as an adult. I'll just pretend to be one just for a minute. And I think it's a horrible idea. I think that's too much power for one studio. They own too much stuff. If I was a worker in LA or in Hollywood, I'd be worried because one company, and I know there's a bunch of other studios. There's 7 other studios, but actually there's only 3 or 4 that are doing well. And actually there's only like 2 that are doing well. Universal's doing okay. Warner Brothers is doing okay. And Disney's doing great. Paramount's not doing well at all. MGM is dead and being propped up. There's Lionsgate, which is propped up by probably cartel money or something. I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea what makes that company work. And then there's the Blumhouse stuff, that's actually, I think, the future of Hollywood right there. Like lower budget, more creative stuff. I see that being the future because this stuff is getting loaded. And Disney has got, I don't know what, Dennis, do you think the X-Men will be better? And I'm talking Deadpool on, not Singer. Singer's out of the question. If Singer's involved with the X-Men, they're not going to be good.
Yeah, Singer. We talked about this in our very long pre-production meeting. Yeah, he's out now. He with this whole rape allegations and stuff like that. Since he was losing power anyway, he's out of all of this. And I want to see where Marvel's going to go with it. I think they can do something good with it. I just would like to see what they're going to do. I just want to go back. Jody actually said, Dennis, apparently in the new trilogies, the Force is basically like a mana pool, in reference to the old Magic the Gathering game. Yeah, I guess so. Once you use it, you lose it.
Okay, see, I didn't know that because I don't play Magic the Gathering, but you do, or did, or you've got gaming knowledge, way more than I do.
A little bit, yeah.
You got some knowledge.
Yeah, and
Jody
also
great suggestions for director for the trilogy. I don't have a problem with any of these. Guillermo del Toro, Peter Jackson. This is all in fantasy world. We know these guys don't work well with some studios, but Guillermo del Toro, Peter Jackson, Alfonso Cuarón, that'd be my favorite. I love that guy. Chris Nolan or David Fincher would all be better. And they would all make great movies.
Yeah, I don't know if Favreau would actually come in and do this, to tell you the truth. He's more doing now. He's going back to the indie stuff again. So I don't think he's really going for the big tent poles anymore.
Yeah, he got really jaded after Iron Man 2.
And I don't think he wants anything to do with that stuff anymore. And he went back and did a really great movie afterwards, Chef. If you guys haven't seen it, awesome movie. It's a lot of fun too. Good story to this also by Jody. Good storytelling cannot be done by committee. Like any artistic endeavor, it cannot be limited by fear or bad marketing. True.
Yep.
Very true.
And that's why this stuff is too big to succeed. When Disney bought Marvel, it was already rolling. Okay. Even the Avengers was still partially a Paramount film. it was after the Avengers when Disney like started taking over. So anything prior to the Avengers was still Kevin Feige, but it was also that Marvel committee. And it was also when things were still fun. There was tons of money involved, yes. But it was still when they were creating something and there wasn't a lot of egos involved and the marketing wasn't quite there. But the Avengers changed everything. Now, let's question the quality of Marvel movies after the Avengers. Frankly, it's been up and down. There's been some, nothing terrible, but a lot of kind of good, pretty good. But we had Winter Soldier, which was outstanding. Guardians of the Galaxy, because that was made independently, practically. And Thor Ragnarok was good in a lot of ways, but it still felt like there was a lot of Disney meddling in that one. I think there's going to be more as it goes on, and I wonder how Kevin Feige is going to put up with that, unless, of course, he becomes the next Disney CEO, which I think he's on the fast track for.
Yeah,
to be
I
honest
think
with you.
Honestly, I had no problem with Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was a fun movie. I thought it fit.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Not the Disney, but the Marvel scope a lot better than the previous versions did. I think it just kind of aligned. It was a little bit of a realignment of Thor movies into the Marvel palette, if you will.
It is, but it's also the first brick in the path of the destruction of the Marvel universe and repaving it in in a new light that will not reflect the comics very much at all, and maybe become Star Wars. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens after Avengers, and I hope to God that Avengers 4 is the ending of a story and not the beginning of another, because that would be a pisser. And I have a feeling that's what might happen. And
I think it's going to be the end. I think it's going to be the end because remember, it was supposed to be 2 stories, so I think it is the end of one story.
To be one movie in 2 parts, and they changed that, and that's what made me. Oh well, Disney screw Orville. That is a good question.
No, because someone actually brought this up at another website, and I can't remember which one it was. Right now, Disney is not going to do anything that's on the Fox. They're not going to get rid of anything that's on the Fox schedule because that would mean they would need to create new content to keep it on the Fox schedule. So they're going to keep everything that's there. That's why The Gifted is actually a shoo-in for a second season. They don't want to have to come up with new content or fish for new content and finance new content. It's already there. So everything that you see, even Ghosted, things like that, stuff that was kind of crappy, is coming back next season.
Yeah. Has the success of Guardians of the Galaxy, especially its humor, ruined movies for a generation? Possibly, because you can't. While Guardians was great, it's the same reason movies were ruined for a little while after The Dark Knight. You can't. I mean, they were independently great movies, but when they are copied by less talented people, it's shite. It's crap. And I even saw some of the Guardians of the Galaxy humor in Star Wars. A lot of it, and I think that. Oh, I'm sure Disney would love that to be a trademark thing. Like, we want to be funny. That's basically what comics have turned into. Okay. Yeah. Comics have turned into this break the fourth wall humor. Let's make everything Deadpool and Gwenpool and Spider-Gwen and all that stuff. While some of those comics can be good individually, they've that template has spread and destroyed comic books. I could do a whole podcast on that. I won't bore you on that one. Will Disney screw Orville? Well, you said no. I don't think so. I hope not. Orville is a wonderful show that we will be covering a lot when it comes back. And
I love Jody.
I like something by Seth MacFarlane.
Jody says, Gary, so it'll be like, I believe it's Schnaschenfreude, the German storytelling approach.
Schadenfreude. There you go.
There you go. Yes.
Close enough. Yes. The enjoyment of watching somebody else suffer. Only us Germans could come up with a word for that. Yeah. All right. So Let's go. Do you think the government will sign off on the Disney Fox deal? Feels like it's getting way too big to fail. Monopolistic. I think they're going to really take a look, and Disney's going to pay off some politicians, and then it will pass.
Because you know what? That's what this government that we have right now is all about. Is about payoffs, and
it has been.
It has been for a long time. Yeah, this one's just—it's a lot more blatant now. You know, it's everything going through. You know, you have the funds, it's going to go through.
Yeah, actually, the senators that are looking at it are Democratic senators, which was kind of a surprise, to be honest with you. But they're the ones that are taking the second look at it. Again, I think it's just so they can get some campaign contributions. We're taking a look at it, but you donated to my campaign. It's fine. It's fine.
Hey, I just want to say Hector Munez was talking about What We Do in the Shadows, the vampire movie that Taika Waititi, the guy who did Thor Ragnarok, did.
Yeah.
And yes, I did see that. I didn't see it all the way through. I actually stopped. It was funny, but I think the humor for me was a little off. I know that it's more New Zealand humor, Kiwi humor. And so it was kind of throwing me off a little bit. It's good, but it was just there's something a little bit off on it.
Has it got the guy from the Flight of the Conchords in it?
Yes, it does.
Oh, I'm definitely going to see that. Yeah,
it's
I
funny.
love Flight of the Conchords, man. If that's New Zealand humor, I'm down.
Yeah,
because I love that stuff.
And it's three vampires that are living together, and they're different centuries, if you will. There's like a Nosferatu one, and some guy from the 1400s, and of course someone from the 1800s, and things like that. And their differences that they have.
Oh, sorry. I was reading a comment here, but I think it was a response to another comment. So, the Fox Disney deal. The reason.
Should we just jump into that now, since we were, we've already.
I think we should just get it. I don't like it at all, and I want to. Like I said, the fanboy in me wants to see the X-Men in the MCU, and I'm sure they're going to take a good. But here's the deal: all the good stories have been taken up already by the X-Men, so you're gonna get a brand new take. The X-Men are gonna probably not look like the regular X-Men. I think they might even go as far as not use the originals. I don't think they're gonna bring in Wolverine at all. I think it'll probably be X-23.
I think if you're gonna do Wolverine and the X-Men, because that was actually a good series and it was fun. And you could do it and not have Professor X. You could still have Kitty Pryde in there, Nightcrawler, things like that, but you'd already have the established X-Men after they've been X-Men, if you will.
Oh my God, the rumors change every day, so just don't believe anything. I just hear back and forth like they're not going to recast the X-Men. They are going to recast the X-Men. I heard that they're going to stop production on Dark Phoenix, which is ridiculous. They're not going to stop production on that.
Production on that.
It's in post. Like they're not going to stop production on it.
Everything that's already in process is going to happen and going to keep happening, and it's going to go out. So like Deadpool 2 is going to finish production and is going to go out as planned.
And this deal still needs to go through. It's like buying a house. It has to go through an escrow. It does have to get it has to get signed off. This is a big deal, so the government does have to sign off on this.
Yes.
So it is not a slam dunk, but I think it'll probably happen. And we won't see. I mean, when Disney bought Marvel, it took a couple years to like feel any change at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a couple years. I think Disney will keep the Fox label to Fox Searchlight to just do another brand of movies. As far as the rated R, Dennis had a great. I mean, it's just using the rated R moniker from Marvel, right? Like,
Bob Iger had been on record as saying there's potential for R-rated Marvel brand movies, just probably under a different name, just so people know what they're going to, so they're not bringing their kids to a Marvel R-rated movie because they're like, hey, take a look, it's under Marvel, it's family friendly. No, they're talking about doing like a different name possibly, and I said Marvel Max because the comic titles back in the 90s it started. You had more of a racier. Well, it was an R-rated version of Marvel Max. So you had cussing, nudity, graphic violence, graphic content, if you will. And that I think would actually work a lot better than rebranding it as something else entirely. And
I don't think in any way, shape, or form Disney rated R is going to be as good as Fox rated R, though.
No.
You're going to have to show me before I believe that. And a great point is by Jody, who says, yeah. But Waititi should have reined in the humor from some of the more somber bits of Thor Ragnarok. Sometimes the humor undercut the drama in two specific scenes, Odin's death and the death of Asgard. Were just totally like something that should have sat there. And did you notice that kind of happened in Star Wars too? Rey got a little injury. Anytime there was a moment of feeling, they would boom, humor. You know, they would bring in those weird maids or something on the island or something. They wouldn't let you sit and feel uncomfortable at all. It's basically snowflake viewing. I'm sorry, I'm going to just come out and say it. It's like anytime we start to get, now use one of their dumb words, starting to word that I'll never use again, the feels. They had to change it and make a joke or do something because God forbid somebody feels something, and we stay on a scene. And Disney homogenizes crap, and that Deadpool. I mean, enjoy this Deadpool movie because you will not get another. I don't think you'll get another one. I
think we will.
We'll see.
Depends on how it does. That's the whole thing. I know you said now they have a different director. You don't have any faith in this movie.
No, that's not what I said. You're putting words. I said I give pause.
Pause. Okay, yes. All right.
But I mean, like, okay, was Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as good as Guardians of the Galaxy? No. It was good, but it was nowhere near as good as the first one. And I think that's kind of what it'll be.
It was still good. It was really good. I liked it a lot.
I liked it too, but it wasn't great. Deadpool was great. Deadpool was and to expect it to be great again is a little too much. I mean, I'll admit that. But Deadpool was a great movie. I'm not even the biggest Deadpool fan.
No one's expecting that at all. That's the whole thing. I mean, you're just kind of like, okay, Deadpool, yeah, all right. It's, probably not gonna be that great. And they did, they kind of knocked it out of the park on that one. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to live up to that expectation, definitely.
Yeah, and I think also the director is not getting enough credit. I know this is Ryan Reynolds' baby though, and if he's into it creatively, I mean, hats off to that guy for getting this thing made. Yeah, I love Ryan Reynolds, and almost everything he does, and he is perfect for this role. And I know a lot of it was ad-libbed. And a lot of it is ripped from the comic, and he understands this character more than anybody. There's nobody else in the world who could play Deadpool. Sorry, nobody. I just don't know if we'll be as good. We'll see. Sometimes when you get lightning in the bottle like that, again, too many entities try to get involved in the sequel, and they don't just let the real creators who made the good thing in the first place just let them do their thing. And that's how we get Star Wars and stuff. Movies with less involvement. I'm of the belief that when you actually limit the budget of a movie and you make them create. Great example of that is watch, if you have time or have access to it, the behind the scenes documentaries for The Matrix, and they talk about what happened between Matrix 1 and 2 and 3. And basically, we didn't have a trailer. We all worked in this warehouse. They were practically sleeping on cots. And by the next movie, they had catering. Everybody had a trailer. There was Coke everywhere. and
they also had a 500% budget increase to their movie.
500% budget increase, and they made a crap show. Instead of like, we have to work within these boundaries, and we got to make the best movie we can. And they made this amazing movie, groundbreaking movie. And they just got too much money.
Look at Sense8. Sense8, same thing, same people. And I know there's a lot of people that love that show, but wow, it's just I don't know. There's a reason why it got canceled.
I couldn't get into it. I mean, it wasn't awfully terrible. It was cool to see like Dolores Park, pretty close to my house. But yeah, and why am I blanking on her name now? From Doctor Who.
Gillian Anderson.
No. His oh my god, I'm getting old. Martha Jones. Martha Jones. Get naked.
Oh, okay.
Martha Jones got naked from Doctor Who. Two companions got naked within a year. Rose did too.
Yep.
In
Billy Piper.
Billy Piper. I like that show. I'm sorry it went, but that's Stars for you.
Yeah, Stars is another animal altogether.
Penny Dreadful, I'm talking about, by the way. Also, let's get back to the commentary. Here we go. I'm gonna scroll up here. Sorry.
I've been answering some stuff too while we
Oh, that's good.
comments.
Also, to the point, hate to break it to the snowflakes, but the real life means dealing with uncomfortable stuff. You can't check out every time you hit a rough patch. Hell yeah.
That was Jody, by the way, who said that.
Jody said that. Yeah.
I
learned.
Jody. That was Billy Piper's show, Diary of a Call Girl.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know what? I did not see that. And I heard about it though. I saw her naked in Penny Dreadful as a dead body. Which was half a good show. It really was. It got a little in love with its own writing, and I thought the Frankenstein character was really good, though. I loved it. Back to Fox, though. How do you think the X-Men are going to turn out? What's your prediction for the X-Men, Dennis?
Well, there's been a lot of speculation on it, and I know we've speculated on it too. And I really do think, yeah, it's going to have to be where the Infinity Gauntlet in some way creates mutants.
Ooh, like they actually creates mutants, not just like opens up a rift and like plops them down in one of those portals from Thor Ragnarok or from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like it creates mutants from scratch.
Or they already exist and just no one knows about them. They've been hiding this well for this long, and there's a small amount of them, like a really small amount, like they used to be.
Tesseract activates the X gene.
Yes, it could be. Yeah. So that could be the way it does happen.
Yeah, third season went off the rails on that one for sure. I didn't even finish it, Jody, on Penny Dreadful. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I think they're going to do a time portal thing. I'm not saying this is a good idea. I like your idea better. But yeah, they're definitely just going to open up a time portal. And they could tell a lot of really interesting stories if they bring in the whole hated and fear mutant things. That's always been something that hasn't been addressed very well in the comics to me. It did a little bit in Avengers versus X-Men, but just how could Captain America exist in a world where mutants are slaughtered? Just never bought that. So it's almost like every comic reader is different. I love Marvel comics. I love DC comics, but I love the core Marvel superheroes. Never big X-Men fan. I read the X-Men when it crossed over. I was a huge Wolverine fan. From the John Byrne era, but I checked out of the X-Men after Byrne left. That was a long time ago. I was not a big 90s X-Men fan, and I know there's like a lot of good stories and stuff. And I went back and read a lot of them, and they're pretty good. But I was always a Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor fan. And then I liked all the weird characters like Brother Voodoo and Ghost Rider, Werewolf by Night, just all the bizarre characters.
I hung through the Jim Lee reboot. I know that.
What was that?
I hung through the Jim Lee reboot of the X-Men.
Yeah, it was good. I went back and read it, and right before I bought the comic store, I just dived into. So I've read every major arc that I missed from the X-Men because that was the only thing that was really left unread before I bought the shop. And I'm like, damn, I should have read it. Oh well.
So we've got a couple comments also about this. So 8 Ampros said, what about maybe doing Age of Apocalypse to launch the X-Men MCU? It's already been done, unfortunately, with the Singerverse, so I don't think they're going to go back and retread that.
If you rename it and do
Mr. Sinister or the High Evolutionary, maybe bringing that in and that way, and giving him
just do Onslaught, make a weird version of Onslaught.
Or
I know it's not as good as Age of Apocalypse, but
you have the time gem, and that brings Kang into play.
Yeah,
which,
see, if you brought Kang in, you could do a lot of different things at this
yeah.
point.
And then also Ghost Spear says, ooh, they break the Infinity Gems and the freeing of those forces causes the mutants. Interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, I love you brought up Kang. Kang is like he seems on the surface a silly villain, but he's insanely powerful
Yeah.
because of his time travel. Like he's really hard to beat. So I've always loved him as a villain. And I loved what they did in Young Avengers. That was so freaking cool. With Iron Lad, and
Oh, yeah.
they should totally do that. That would be cool.
And is he or is he not Apocalypse? That's the other thing too. We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
What about Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch? Aren't they technically X-Men being Magneto's kids? They are. They're in both universes, though.
Yes. So Jody actually he says, or the reality gem does something to blend the X-Men universe and the MCU. So that would actually solve that problem.
I mean, do you think that would just be easy? I mean, Star Wars had no problem with, oh, your stupid theories. Forget them. They just, nah, you know. And I'll ask you that question. I forgot to ask you a question about Star Wars. We'll get to it later. But with that, do you think they would just go, yep, they're blended now. Deal.
Yeah.
And that might even be the best way to do it. It's just like, oh, Wolverine. Oh, I've always known you're here. How's it going? Kind of like when, remember back in the 70s and early 80s when DC and Marvel would cross over, they existed on the same planet. They were just, oh, I know Superman. Hi, Superman. We've just never mentioned you before.
Yeah. Jody actually says Kang the Conqueror could also figure into the way they bring in the Fantastic Four.
Yes. Yeah. So Dennis and I plotted this Fantastic Four thing. Might as well tell you about it now since we got
and
it.
Other people actually, I've seen it on other places on the internet. So we're not the only ones that have come up with this theory. Other people have arrived to the same conclusion that we did as well.
Okay, but we have to say that, but we did not notice them. This is something we came up with on our own, like in a pre-production meeting in a podcast.
I think it was like 2 years ago, right?
It's pretty obvious. It's you use the negative zone. So, and you make it a period piece, and you start them off in the 60s, and they take off into the negative zone. And I think this is what they're going to actually do with Captain Marvel too. They're going to have her, and they can use the negative zone now. And what do we say? They went and fought Dr. Doom.
They were actually exploring.
Yes.
They found the negative zone by accident. And they only had a one-way. Basically, whenever they went into it, they were gone. They disappeared into the negative zone. And it took them 30 years because time actually happens differently in the negative zone than it does here. And they popped out of it now, but only, like a year for them? But 30 years for us, and now they've reemerged.
And there's two ways you can go. We can do the lame way, which is they were known in the 60s and they were known to have disappeared, but they were technically the first superheroes. And like in the next couple movies, you can mention, well, you don't want to end up like the Fantastic Four. Remember what happened to the Fantastic Four? And then you do a little flash of like they disappeared. Yeah. Or you make it where only S.H.I.E.L.D. knew about them.
Yeah.
So they knew they're out there, and like Hank Pym like helps find them or something like that.
Yeah, because we've already dealt with, what is it, the quantum universe.
Yep.
Janet is lost in, and so the negative zone could be part of the a different version of the quantum universe, because we already have the quantum universe in both Ant-Man and also in Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange actually showed the quantum universe as well.
Yeah. I remember they were talking about like how Ant-Man would leave in Doctor Strange. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
And then they did that whole thing in the quantum universe, which was cool. That's why Marvel movies work. They don't have to. They're pretty much at the point now where they can't just do a Marvel movie with one superhero in it. They're not going to be able to get away with that. They're going to have to there's always going to have to be somebody else teaming up with that other superhero. It's going to be basically Marvel team up from here on out, which I'm totally fine with. But just the one solo I think Black Panther might be the last one. And is there going to be another I can't even remember. It's got a huge cast. So it's like having other superheroes. They're going to have a lot of other superheroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Why blame Jade? A bunch of fucking nerds. Yep. We are. this is what we talked about in the comic store. Nothing serious. This is a comic shop conversation just brought to YouTube. And I would do this I did this all day, every day for 10 years. So I can hang with the best of them. And we can talk about beast powers. We can talk about if Hulk would beat Superman. I've done white papers on that, by the way. Why are white people called crackers? Because they used to crack the fucking whip. We got a troll.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Boom. Okay. And that's taken care of.
I was going to do it, but I kind of figured you'd get to it there.
Yeah, I got to it. It's cool. Yeah, we don't do that here. I'm all about free speech, but get out of here, fool. Hey, trolls mean you made it, though. That's total success. So I love that.
8 Ampleros. I'm sorry, man. I'm killing your name here. Says create a new villain who deals in cosmic real estate and he buys both realities and merges them. Done. That is a great way of doing that.
Dude, Spider-Man and Deadpool should have a movie together.
They should, yes.
I'm wondering if Troll in the Dungeon. That's right. I'm wondering how they could work that out, though. You want to get super nerdy. So Sony's deal with Spider-Man crossing over. Well, I mean, if they own Fox, they're Marvel. So yeah, they could do it.
Yeah.
That would be see, Disney would want that, and I don't think Ryan Reynolds would, because that would be PG-13 Deadpool, which he says he doesn't want to do.
No, I think actually he could do it. I think he would want it. And they already do it with Colossus to a point, because Colossus doesn't swear. Yeah, and yes, Deadpool does.
Spider-Man in a rated R movie? Don't think so. Not happening.
Possibly. Yeah, it'd probably have to be PG-13. You're right.
Yeah, there's no way they would do that. What did you guys think of? What did you think of that the trailer for the Spider-Verse?
I kind of liked it.
I thought it was rad. I was like, whoa! I was really impressed with that. Oh man, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, but I'm spidered out. But that animation was kick-ass. I want a lot more superhero movies like that.
That's Lord and Miller again. I mean, I'm glad they got kicked off the Star Wars project they were on if they were going to be doing that. So,
yeah, because I'm sure Ron Howard is going to do such a better job on Han Solo than those guys. Yeah, no, they're going to get the last laugh on that one for sure.
Oh yeah.
They'd have to soften Deadpool up way too much. Yep.
Hey, Ghost Bear, the X-Men villain that had the interdimensional TV network was Mojo. That was Mojo Network.
The Mojo Network, who we thought was initially in Legion in the beginning. I thought that was Mojo. And I was wrong. But it certainly looked like it at first, which would have been rad. They need to bring Mojo in at some point. I think it's a wacky villain. And
yeah, it plays better to TV than it does to movies, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, that Spider-Man trailer did look awesome.
Jody asks, have you guys seen the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series? Yes, I have. I know Gary has seen sporadically. And yes, I did see the Deadpool episode. And yes, it did sort of work. But yeah, they'd have to turn down the language. Definitely.
I have not seen that one. I'm not a big fan of the Ultimate Spider-Man series. I'm a huge fan of the Spectacular Spider-Man series. I thought that was perfection. The animation was but the Venom origin in that is the best Venom origin, period.
Yeah, it is.
Which sucks because they're not going to use that for the movies.
But they are making him a military person, the Tom Hardy one, which is kind of odd. So
how will Fox Disney affect Legion? God, I hope it doesn't affect it at all. I love that show.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do anything. Like I said, I don't think they're going to touch anything TV-wise right now. They're going to.
But in the long run, I think they're talking in the long run. I think in the long run, I mean, just think back when Disney bought Marvel and Spectacular Spider-Man and Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes were running, which were two great cartoons. Just got canceled.
Yeah.
and they replaced them with inferior products, in my opinion. Tom Holland as Spider-Man. What do you think of Tom Holland as Spider-Man, Dennis?
I actually like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, to tell you the truth. I know you weren't really a big fan of it. Spider-Man is Gary's biggest character that he likes. I mean, that's his character that he loves. I love Spider-Man 2 as one of my first comics. I think it was the first comic that I read as a child. And but I actually like this version of Spider-Man, to tell you the truth. He's chatty, like overly chatty. The only thing I don't like is there isn't a distinguishing difference between Spider-Man and Peter Parker. That's the only thing I don't like about it.
Okay.
They seem kind of the same character.
Liked him in Civil War a lot. And the movie, I felt he cried too much. I thought he was a bit of a biatch. I like that he's talking more. I like that he's quipping through. It's the third reboot in a decade, and it's law of diminishing returns. If they would have gone, if he was the second Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, there was flaws with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He didn't, quip when he was fighting. He was a little cry too, quite a bit in Spider-Man 3. I try to just forget Spider-Man 3. I just talk about Spider-Man 1 and 2, which I love still. Love those movies. Because I love Sam Raimi. And I thought it was just good, basic, fun storytelling with good, a better villain in Spider-Man 2. Doc Ock was really cool. And the redeemable villain, which is a lot of Spider-Man villains are the redeemable villain.
Exactly.
And I do like the fact that in Homecoming, like that, if they're going to go back to the kid thing, they make him a fallible kid, which I think he was almost too fallible in Homecoming. I don't like high school movies. I didn't like high school. So I don't have this nostalgia for high school. It's like F's high school.
The problem with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was that he created his own problems. He basically created all the problems that he needed to solve. So if he hadn't screwed up in the first place, he wouldn't have any problems to solve in the first place. And then he was kind of like, didn't realize that he had created the problem in the first place. So it just seemed really like a stupid message for me to give to kids for this superhero that they had created.
Those were the first Spider-Man movie wasn't as terrible as the second one. And I liked Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. I thought they had really good chemistry, but just bad filmmakers were in charge of that. And Sony, Amy Pascal is like, her touch is death on a movie.
Ooh.
She is not good.
This is interesting. 8 Emperor says Sam Raimi Star Wars.
Hell yeah.
I would watch the shit out of that one.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. And he would capture the tone. What's funny is this crazy horror guy like really knows how to catch the fun and thrilling tone of a comic book in a very basic way, in a very good basic way. Everybody wants to get trapped in Frank Miller mode, and make things dark and sophisticated, or we can go down the way goofy road, which is like what we're down right now. And Sam Raimi had a great balance with that. And plus he's a great, the visual storyteller that he is. His action was awesome. I mean, go back and watch the damn train scene. The bad CG or not, that scene with Doc Ock is so badass. Every scene is just so badass.
And it's been aped. I mean, it was aped in the current Spider-Man movie that just came.
Yeah.
And Wasteland Otter asks, I heard rumors of Leonardo DiCaprio playing the Joker. What do you guys think? I actually would like the other rumor where Leonardo DiCaprio had talked to Stan Lee about playing him in a biography. I would rather see that.
Leonardo DiCaprio as the Joker. Is he going to try to mimic Heath Ledger's, or is that? I actually think he's a pretty good actor. So why the hell not? I mean, Jack Nicholson's played him.
Yeah.
I would pick Willem Dafoe over him. I know he's older, but I guess if you're going to play a young Joker, I guess Leo would be good. Leo's not that young anymore, though. But Willem Dafoe would be my number one choice as the Joker.
Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover would be my number 2 choice as the Joker.
He's just creepy, and he's got that grin already, and he's got the
almost
pointy
too on the
nose.
nose. I would love him to be like the Penguin, or or somebody who could bring depth to like maybe a lame villain. Like do a proper creepy Riddler with Crispin Glover. But he would be a great Joker. I'm not going to deny that at all. Crispin Glover's in American Gods. Just his little scenes in American Gods, he ate it up. He was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield says Wasteland Otter as far as like who's best is Spider-Man. Agreed. Holland was the right age. I would have been blending the aspects of Maguire's and Garfield's and Holland's performances. Yeah, it seems like between the 3 of them, somewhere in there, there's a perfect Spider-Man.
We see blend those universes together, I guess, or just blend those people together into one perfect actor, I guess you could say.
Personally, I'd love to see Mark Hamill play a live-action Joker. Wouldn't be against that at all.
I wouldn't. Oh, he'd have to slim down a little bit. That's the only thing. He's been eating away too many porgs.
Hey, I lost 50 pounds. I lost 50 pounds in a month. He can do it too. Yeah. Do you want to do it? Watch my video. No, just kidding. It's called meth. No.
Ooh, yeah, Glover.
No.
Great Riddler. Jody just brought up.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe. I think he was considered in the beginning, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he was going to be the backup if Jack Nicholson said no, because Jack Nicholson was going back and forth. Willem Dafoe is still young enough to play the role. He's a great actor, underrated actor. Willem Dafoe would make an interesting Two-Face. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. I want to see a Batman movie where they just adapt the animated series. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. That's
damn near word for word. Just adapt the tone of that, go full on noir, but still make it like a little fantasy based, the fantastical villains. I don't want my villains grounded in Batman. I want them weird. That's the thing is, when Batman was created, it was surreal in the aspect of, I don't know if you guys ever read the Dick Tracy comics from the early, way back when. They're bizarre. They are really weird, but great. And that's Batman and Dick Tracy were kind of hand in hand as far as villains and like how they dealt with stuff. And I would be okay with that. And yes, I am a fan of the Dick Tracy movie.
Dick Tracy's coming back to comics, and they've kind of redone him a little bit. So it's not the classic look. They've prettied him up, and
he's a woman, right? The woman. No, I'm just kidding.
He's a guy still. Yeah, he just looks pretty.
It's a lesbian who plays soccer, and no, just kidding. Dude, the best part of Jean-Claude Van Damme was when they're remaking Huckleberry Finn. I love you, Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, where now they've made Tom Sawyer into a woman. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny as hell, dude.
And then what was it? The N-word Jim. I don't know if I feel comfortable calling him that.
I know, N-word Jim. Oh boy. Peter Weller. Oh, Peter Weller Batman is in The Dark Knight. Hell yeah.
Well,
his voice was perfect.
Yeah, his voice is I don't know if he's older now, and I don't think he would do it just because he is a professor. He is a professor of I want to say it's not archaeology, but it's of art. He actually teaches on the East Coast. So in between he actually directs and he teaches college. The guy is a badass. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, he's the professor of kick-ass. That's what he is. I would love to see Peter Weller do it. Man. We'll see what. Yeah, Ben Affleck will not be Batman.
Architecture.
And architecture. Damn.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, he is, dude. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me on that. Ampleros. Eat Ampleros.
So back to Fox and Disney.
Yes,
I am not for it, but I don't know if we're gonna get better X-Men movies. We'll get some X-Men in the MCU. But we talked about this in our third or fourth podcast about like how they can get legs out of the Marvel purchase after the Avengers thing is run out, and it's turning out exactly we said eventually they're going to get all their film rights back, and if they time it right, they can get another decade. So maybe they just focus on the X-Men, because I know Spider-Man supposedly is going to be their focus on Phase 4, even though they don't fully own him. And that's where he's gonna be the Captain America or whatever, or the Iron Man of the next phase. And they said they have movies planned out for 10 years, but I wouldn't believe that. I think we're gonna get some one-shot movies after Phase 4, which would be great. I think we can get some good movies. I think they could like start adapting some stuff.
And Ampoliros is how it's pronounced. Thank you for correcting me on that. Ampoliros.
Ampoliros. And that's right. He said, yeah, okay, he told me that before. Sorry. Learn that from Dan Harmon, he said. Right.
And I do hope Peter Weller does drop some lines from RoboCop when he has unreleased students, because that would be really fucking awesome.
It would. I want to go sign up for his class.
I know, his architecture class.
I need to get my credits up. Nah, never mind.
I don't have any misgivings about this merger. I'm just happy to see the Fantastic Four, if they're going to be done right for a change. I'm tired of seeing. I mean, come on, it's Marvel's first family. Get them done right. They're not that hard to do. Really, obviously they are hard to do because Fox has had 3 tries at this now and hasn't been able.
My whole theory on like why Hollywood cannot do wholesome good stuff anymore is because there's no wholesome good people left in Hollywood. They're all a bunch of jaded, debaucherous dope heads. Dope. I sound like an old man. They're all drugs and homosexuals down there. And they can't make good
the marijuana. That's what happens when you sell your soul.
That's what happens. No, the family concept is just something that is, I don't know if they're necessarily for, and especially Disney that makes family movies. I'm trying to think of anything that I've seen lately that's got a good father in it.
Coco. Coco actually supposedly has a really good father figure in it.
That's good. I didn't see it. But that's a cartoon. So how about live action, like where there's a good dad, where there's a good solid family? And what I mean by good dad doesn't have to be a perfect dad. I mean, we all screw up, but show me a good dad.
Shaggy Dog. Didn't they remake that or something?
Yeah, but you have to think about it, and you shouldn't even have to think about it. I
don't remember any Disney
first
movie.
Family, and it's supposed to be about family. They'd almost be better off going like the animated, doing their own thing, or making another Marvel universe that's animated would be awesome. There'd be a lot of freedom to do a lot of fun stuff. It would be in direct competition, so they'd never do it. But yeah, but with Fantastic Four, I think they're just gonna. If anybody has a chance to make it good, it's Disney. I'll give them that. And I think if they get Brad Bird, I know we've dropped that name before.
Yeah,
but that would be. I'd even get a Sam Raimi.
Brad Bird's already made the Fantastic Four movie already, and he's making a sequel to it.
Have him make a third one because he's the right guy. Because Incredibles is damn near a perfect movie. So, and I can't wait for the second one. Cannot wait. So yeah, but the X-Men, I don't know if the X-Men are going to be better at Disney. I would tell people let's just wait and see, but I mean that's not how we do things on the internet. So let's speculate away. Screw it. But where are they going to go differently? I guess they could do like the Starjammers thing and bring in the Brood and take them out into space. It seems like that's where they want to go anyway. Or
bring in Agents of S.W.O.R.D.
Or while they have, it seems like a lot of the heroes are going to be going into space, and maybe the mutants will be on Earth. And it's going to be really weird and awkward how they bring them in. I don't care as long as they do. It'd be, but I don't think we'll see Wolverine at all.
You could also do it, since we've already had mention of the Inhumans already. We've had the Kree, so we're going to have the Kree again in Captain Marvel, right? So we're gonna have the Kree and the Skrulls. So you can bring the Inhumans in and say that because of the whole tampering with the Kree did with genetic structure on humans, they inadvertently created the X gene.
But then you would have to get them, so there'd be a true origin in the timeline. See, the only problem with that's a good idea, but then you'd have to go in the future like 30 years or 15 years at
Well, no,
minimum.
you say it already happened. They already exist among us, and that's the reason why it existed among us.
So it just turns it on.
Yeah.
So it would just be mutants dealing with the mutant problem. So there wouldn't be any established X-Men. It would just be a bunch of mutants, and you'd have your X-Men.
Exactly.
And then you'd go from there. That could be a way to do it.
It's an easier way.
Like I said earlier, have the Tesseract just Tesseract or the Infinity Gauntlet or something Thanos does activate the X gene. And maybe it's something like he tries to, I don't know, use the Infinity Gauntlet to have humans turn against superheroes, and he inadvertently creates the X gene or something like that. You'd have to do that. I think they're going to go timey-wimey, though, to be honest with you. I think they're going to have there's going to be a portal or a giant energy beam shooting up in the sky that somebody's going to be fighting.
Somebody's going to be dancing, undulating in front of it as it's happening.
What's up, Doug? My friend Doug's here.
Hey, Doug. Yes. What if the FF have been tainted by 3 bad movies and no one cares? Marvel's involvement notwithstanding. Honestly, I don't consider those movies to exist. Just kind of like the Roger Corman movie doesn't exist for me. They happened, but I don't consider those to be Fantastic Four. So neither does anybody else because they don't remember them. So
there you go. Hey, Jody, Gary, the thing we need to keep in mind is Disney at foremost conservative. For goodness sake, look at Sky High. The idea of a bad boy was more like Bad Boy Light. Yeah, Sky High was awesome though. I freaking love Sky High, but it was a kiddie movie. It
was. I mean, their villain wasn't War and Peace. It was I forget her name now. What the villain's name was, but she was actually the bad guy.
God dang, I need to see that movie again. I love that movie so much.
It's also got Bruce Campbell in it.
It does.
Boomer.
It's got a great cast, as a matter of fact. Such a good movie.
And by the way, another Bruce Campbell shout out. He is going to be on the Librarians this Wednesday as Santa Claus. Yes, on TNT. Librarians at Santa Claus. Yeah, that's my only reason why I'm going to watch it.
By the way, we are huge Bruce Campbell fans. Ash vs. Evil Dead premieres February 28th or something like that, and we will be recapping all of them.
And both seasons are on Netflix right now. Seasons 1 and 2.
Check them out if you haven't checked it. Such a good show.
Watch that damn show.
Hector Munoz said it would be interesting to see the X-Men spearhead the Marvel the way the Avengers is, but with Disney, it's all about bankability. How long will Iron Man make them big bucks? Why would they replace replace Robert Downey Jr.? I don't think they're going to recast him. I think their whole plan from the beginning was started in the comics with the all new, all different.
Mm-hmm.
And they really wanted to use those characters as mantle replacements for Robert Downey Jr. and Thor. And that was a real thing. That was an edict brought down. Marvel Now was an edict brought down from Disney. They shot down to this is what you're doing. We want the comics to reflect the movies. Problem is it didn't work.
Yeah,
it failed miserably. So they're scrapping it. So I don't know what they're going to do. I wish they would just recast Robert Downey Jr. and keep Iron Man around. I suspect they're just going to kill him and get rid of him for a while, and maybe reboot him in the future.
Possibly. Oh, and Giodi reminded me, Royal Pain was the name of the villain in Sky High.
Royal Pain, yes. Disney loves formulas. Oh, he's responding. And to make them an F ton of money, it's all about Benjamins, baby. That's right. And they were getting into the formula aspect in their MCU movies, but Thor Ragnarok kind of broke that. But hopefully that doesn't become the new formula. What worked for Thor Ragnarok. Like, I don't want to see Ant-Man Ant-Man's kind of a comedy, but it was a comedy with heart. It was like a light comedy. I don't want it to turn into, the 40-year-old virgin with costumes. Okay. Which Hulk? The Corman. Okay. Avengers Hulk versus Deadpool. Royal Pain. There we go. I'm just getting caught up with I miss Warehouse 13 too. I actually like that show. It's something I caught up with. I first thought it was lame, and then I got into it.
Yeah, I used to watch it quite a bit too. I actually watched. Yeah, I watched the entire series.
Yeah, my wife loves The Librarians. She is all about Noah Wiley or whoever's in it now. I don't know, but
cheesier sci-fi series shows like Z Nation. Z Nation. I've been watching this last season that they just ended. I was laughing my ass off because they found the president. They had to go find the president of the United States to find the thumbprint so they could stop a missile launch. And they find where the president had held up at, and they find the successor, who is the 235th president of the United States, because of everybody that went down the line. I just thought it was funny.
To be clear, I love Sky High, but it's meant to be a kiddie show. It was the first. It was where I first saw Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Daniela Panabaker. Yeah. Oh, totally. I didn't think you didn't like it. I love that movie, but yeah, Disney, they have a villain problem. Like when it's not Netflix, let's go down the list with their villains. They're, hopefully Thanos. Thanos has to like kill some children. It's got to, do something really horrible to make us think he is this giant badass. I already don't like the fact that he's not going to be in his armor. There's, I like the Infinity War trailer, but it didn't blow me away. So.
You got to remember what happened was the portal got opened a little early. He was in the bathtub at the time.
Oh, that's right. No, I thought it was a yoga. I thought he was doing yoga.
He might have
just got back from yoga, but he was in the bathroom. Okay, that's right.
Yeah. So you didn't have time to put on the armor.
Jody says, "Holy shit, got to get back into Z Nation." I got to watch Z Nation. You keep on saying it's good, but
it's fun. It's nutty. It's just absolutely nutty. And every time you think they can't top it, they top it with something else. They have what are called Mad Z's now because there was a release of some nuclear weapons. So some zombies have been irradiated, and now headshots don't work. You basically have to obliterate their heads to get them to stop.
Oh, we're gonna flip the script. You can't just shoot them once in the head. You got to obliterate the head. Okay,
and they're like super fast as well.
If my friend Doug is out there, Doug is a childhood friend of mine, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Doug, did you see The Last Jedi?
And what did you think?
Doug and I used to collect our little Star Wars figures. I'd ride my bike over to his house. And it might have been the precursor to this podcast. We used to record fake radio shows on cassettes. We were nerdy, dorky kids, like nerdy kids. Z Nation is the anti-Walking Dead.
It pretty much is. Yeah, they actually make fun of every now and then. They'll throw out a Walking Dead hate there every now and then, like little statements, and it's pretty funny. You know what they're talking about.
Do you know where? Doug says, "Ugh, I'm so over Walking Dead." I got over it in the comics. So do you know where the zombies came from in Z Nation? Do they tell you the origin of the zombies?
It was a virus. They don't really. We already go into it like full blown a year into the zombie outbreak. Well, you start off at the beginning of the zombie outbreak, and then it kind of jumps forward like about 6 months. So we know that it was possibly man-made.
Cassettes, yes, cassettes, and our little tape recorder, our little Panasonic tape recorders. Yeah, Walking Dead, great comic. That just it got to the point where I was just like, I just want everybody to die. I'm rooting for the zombies now. And I got to say that's almost at the point I'm at Game of Thrones too, where I just want the White Walkers to come and kill everybody.
Doesn't every show eventually turn into zombies?
It does. It does. Zombies. Yeah. So, any other things you want to talk about, Dennis? We've been going on for quite a while now.
We have been going on for a little while there.
We go for a little while. It's still only been an hour and 17 minutes. I don't know. It depends on what you guys think. What do you guys think Fallout? Oh, I know nothing about video games. Do you know anything about video games?
I know what Fallout is. I just don't play it.
I can
Sorry.
ask my son. Sorry.
John, our other geek in residence, probably knows more about this than both of us because I think that's what he does in his sleeping hours is play video games.
I know a little bit about that Bethesda thing, but not much. Sorry. It's just what my kids tell me. I'm sorry. I owned a comic store. Our biggest competition was video games. Like video games are pretty much, it's the video that killed the radio star. It was the video game that killed the comic book star. So while I played them lightly, I was too busy reading comic books. And I also, I don't know, I can't sit down and play video. For one, I suck. I suck at everything I play. I'm decent at pinball, but every video game I touch, I am the worst player ever. I don't know why. I just am. So I never got into it.
You know what you would like? I think you would like the Injustice game because I'm playing Injustice 2 right now. It's basically Mortal Kombat with DC characters. And as you ramp up, you get different gear that's based towards your characters, and you just keep putting more and more gear on your characters. It's kind of cool. So my Batman, he's almost a level 20. He's close to it. And he's got some really interesting, cool stuff on him. But it's like Mortal Kombat.
I see a lot of that stuff, and it looks so cool. And then I sit down to play it, and I'm like, I do something.
Rarely play online against other people because I get my ass handed to me. So
I got into I'm stuttering there. I got into Diablo. Back in the day during my divorce from my first wife. All I did was play that game night and day. It really helped. It did.
Ampileros, yeah, I was done with Game of Thrones. I think
you were done in season 4.
Was it season 4?
Yeah.
Season 5. I went into season 6, and what are they? They're in season 7 right now, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I skipped season 5 altogether. And I was a happier person for it.
No, they're in season 7. So season 5, it was dark, but it was still with the book. And then they broke away from the book in 6 and 7. 6 was still pretty damn good. 7, I believe it went off the rails. They just, with the time travel and the getting across Westeros in a day, and they kind of throw away everything that made it special. George let them down. They were waiting for, I don't know how they could have finished it anyway, because there's 2 books left. And George doesn't talk with the creators very much. I know there's a big giant rift between the creators of the show, not with George and HBO. They're cool because he makes them a lot of money. So yeah, Diablo was fun. Diablo was great. I even like Diablo 2. That was fun too.
Hector Muniz, I'm from the UK, but currently in Sweden. It's 4 a.m. here, but this is my first live show with you guys. Hey, thanks for showing up with us here. Big love. Would watch the Mr. Robot recaps immediately after every episode. Thought I'd share. Hey, Hector, thanks for showing up. We're glad that you're watching us and that you're enjoying, our Mr. Robot. We enjoy it too. We love talking about Mr. Robot every chance we get. So.
Yeah, and we really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch and subscribe. It kind of blows us away, and it's tons of fun.
Yeah,
we're never gonna think this is our living.
Yeah.
We're not one of those YouTubers like, yeah, we have a Patreon, but we don't e-beg, and we have day jobs, and we always will have day jobs. So there's no danger of adpocalypses or anything taking us away because we're gonna do it anyway. So it's a really, really fun hobby that I'm glad you guys are a part of. I love these chat things are my favorite. Absolutely my favorite. Talking to you guys is the best because I missed it from the comic store. That's the one thing, I don't miss a lot of things from comic retailing. Believe it or not, it's not all fun and games. But talking to the customers every day was that made the job so great. So great. I missed it dearly. So this kind of helps with that. So almost dropped a show after they butchered Aria Bravos. She was basically Wolverine and Mystique but yes, exactly. Doug says he has not seen The Last Jedi. Was used to fart into my dad. Yes, we used to fart in your dad's tape recorder. Yes, we did.
Kind of like what we're doing on the show every now and then too.
Yeah.
But a little more high tech now.
Sorry, Terminator Aria wasn't good writing. It wasn't. And George has such a better plan for that. She might even not survive. Who knows? I am now a full-fledged fan of the books. And yeah, that series, that especially that last episode, I was okay until I saw the last episode of season 7. And if you go back and watch my podcast on it, and I didn't get a lot of views, I was with my wife. I was pissed. I was like, what the fuck was that? And this is on the heels of another show I love, Doctor Who, just going in the crapper. I was like, damn, but this is why we have Mr. Robot, and there's other shows. There's always something new. So it's like, I never want to get tied to fandom again. Although I was a huge Game of Thrones fan and a huge Doctor Who fan. I don't know if I'm a fan of either anymore. I'll watch it, but I don't know if I'm a fan. Now I'm a fan of Mr. Robot, Westworld, Expanse, Ash vs. Evil Dead. There's still great stuff out there. So,
hey, Ampileros, when you start watching Mr. Robot season 3, when you get into it a little bit more, we have some crazy theories on our podcast. So go ahead and check them out once you've got done with your episodes there.
Yeah, we get a little out there.
Yeah, we kind of go further down the rabbit hole than we probably should have, but that's us.
Yeah, no, we're not going to stop doing it. Well, you know me.
Yeah,
you should hear my other conspiracy theories I don't talk about on the show.
ColecoVision, yes. I remember playing ColecoVision.
Hey, come on, Gary and Dennis. None of us would be here if you guys weren't an awesome bunch to geek out. Well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. Dennis is awesome. Dennis is an awesome guy. I agree with that. He is awesome. And he is a geek. He is a friggin' geek. I'm an a-hole. It's okay. I know it. My wife tells me that every day. So does my mom. Doug, everything I've heard about Last Jedi makes me want to stay away. Yes, Doug. It is not good. Yeah. It is not good. I would love to talk to you about it.
Actually, when you watch, Doug, when you get a chance to, at the beginning of, or probably about the first 15 minutes of this podcast that we have, I actually give my review of it or my thoughts on it. And I wasn't kind. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And Ampileros, by the way, that theory is the same that we have as well, that White Rose and the Minister are not the same person.
And Ampileros, I agree with you. Arya would not die. I have to correct myself because that's the one person that George R. Martin's wife has told him he can't kill is Arya.
So he's going to kill her in the beginning of next season.
Unless, of course, they break up. Then all bets are off. Then she gets half of Arya in the divorce. So there you go. Yeah, they should have consulted GRM, but George R. Martin, Jody, but they're D&D are not talking to George R. Martin right now. Apparently, that's the word on the street that I have heard, that there's been a rift, and it's on the George R. Martin side. I don't know why, but it's clear. It's really clear that they're on their own. So these guys are really good at. Remember, these are the guys who brought us X-Men Origins Wolverine and sewed Deadpool's mouth shut. So yeah, those are the same guys. Yeah.
Maybe they can bring
ColecoVision. Oh yeah, I had to say Doug remembers my ColecoVision. Yeah, that was like the only video game thing. I had to beg my dad for that. My dad was so cheap. Oh my god, all my friends. Well, no, Doug, your dad was cheaper. To be honest with you, Doug's dad was way cheaper. But our friend Jeff, like, he got everything. He was so spoiled. Intellivision, you guys remember Intellivision?
Oh, somewhere that's tickling.
It was this bizarre.
Oh yeah, now I remember it now.
Like it was more expensive and had better graphics, and I can't remember a single game from it, but it was really a bizarre looking controller, and it came out right after Atari. It was the good old days when no one had plot armor on Game of Thrones, right? Yeah, maybe because he got them the job and then they turned around and screwed up his life's work. Yeah, Jody, I would agree. The way things go down in Hollywood, I got to be really careful what I say here. Everybody screws everybody eventually. I mean, that's like when you go down there. I worked down there for a couple years and just in the post-production area. So like I even saw it there, but when you get there, there is no friends. There's only people who can help you, but and then you call them your friend, but they're not your friend, and it's a really nasty culture. And I think a lot of it is coming out now in the writing because we're in second, third generation writers, who are sons of writers who are great. Joss Whedon is the son of a writer. All these guys are sons. So we're getting disconnected from real life people. So we're back in the old days when Spielberg was still good. When you saw his movies, it felt like he was taking a slice of your life out and putting it on the screen. You're not seeing that anymore because the people in Hollywood, their life experience is just Hollywood now. And it's just that crazy culture. And that's why it's really hard for them to make a good drama now because they have no idea what's real anymore. And it's a big party down there. God, I remember going to this one party and it was the big black guy from Pirates of the Caribbean from the first movie when he makes her jump off the plank. He was on I can't remember his name. He was the big star at this party, and man, he was surrounded by 30 beautiful women. You couldn't get, and I was with a friend who knew him, and they were trying to get his attention, couldn't get his attention, and it was all a party for him. And it was just this club that was packed for this B-list guy, which and it was supposed to be an assistance party. It was so weird going to that thing. And it was like, I've only been to 2 Hollywood parties. That was the weirdest thing. I went to an Christmas party too, which was actually kind of fun. But again, it was just, I don't know. It was just really fake. And I didn't like it down there at all. That's why I left. Came back.
Oh, sorry. You were saying I missed the old days where they showed an actual plot and wasn't just trying to go from shock to awe and not bothering with character building at all. Absolutely. John Milius, the great John Milius, who did the first Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was the guy who actually taught Lucas and Spielberg. And his big thing was show, don't tell.
Yeah.
And everyone has forgotten about that because no one goes to film school anymore.
John Milius. I'm butchering his name. Yeah, John Milius. Yeah, good. Harvey Weinstein effect. Yep, that's actually okay. I'm gonna out this guy right now. Joel, what's the guy who used to be the host of Talk Soup? Joel
Hale.
Joel Hale. And I'm messing up the girl who co-hosts the E! News with Ryan Seacrest. I watched him grab her ass at a party. Somebody dared him to do it right in front of me. He walks up to her and just grabs her ass, and she laughed. She's like, but yeah. Speaking of Harvey Weinstein effect, that's the one thing I remember from that party. It was like, well, he grabbed her ass. Wow. No, it's got. I hate to sound like some weird right-wing Christian, like God, beer and homosexual and drugs, but it's gotten bad. There's also like everybody's on Vicodin down there. It's one of the other thing I noticed down there. Lots of that going on. But there's also some really good people. There's also very talented people who are being ignored and underpaid. And most of the work is actually being farmed out now. So they're all looking for jobs. They live in bubbles and in echo chambers, which explains the disconnect. Yeah. And the disconnect is just getting larger every year. It's really clear. I didn't walk out of it, but did give a finger to the screen during Gravity.
Another Ron Howard movie.
Yeah, Gravity. Gary, so it's Sodom and Gomorrah. Yes, it is. You're waiting for the 9.0 earthquake to hit. It is. And I live in San Francisco. So, but I grew up in San Diego, which is
we switched city
south of LA. Yeah, we switched city. So Dennis lives in the place where I was born, and I live in the place where Dennis is born.
Yep.
And it's just different. It's hard to explain. It's and it's not all of LA. There's some really great parts of LA. There's some awesome parts, like Burbank's pretty cool, and but that's LA. I don't want to go off on it too much. The Anatomy and Story of John Truby is a great reference for good storytelling. Yes. The Anatomy of a Story. Yes.
Alfonso Cuarón was the one who did Gravity. That's right.
Yes. I like him he did a good Harry Potter movie. But Gravity, I actually stopped watching because I got kind of bored. Is that bad?
I saw it in the IMAX screen when I was up in San Francisco still. So it was kind of cool to watch it in that. But
Yeah, I was just watching it at home doing
yeah,
something. So I mean,
it's
I
not
do
a
that
good
with a lot of
movie.
movies.
Yeah, it's not a good movie, but it's pretty.
Yeah, it looked pretty. It looked pretty. All right, let's wrap this one up so I don't ramble too much.
Yes, yeah.
I did a lot of Christmas shopping today with my wife, which tires me out. That woman has got so much energy.
I do want to talk one thing. Jody asks, he says, case in point, that scene in Crisis on Earth X when Elicity jump into the Barry Iris wedding in real life, that wouldn't have happened without the actual bride getting hella pissed. Actually, she does get pissed because they mentioned on the next episode of Flash, they're like, what the hell was it with them taking over our wedding? Which I thought was pretty funny.
That crossover, it was pretty good, by the way. I did eventually finish it. The only thing that I couldn't stand, and somebody's got to explain that, like, because I don't watch a ton of Supergirl. The only Supergirls I've watched are the ones with Superman on it, and I watched the premiere that was on CBS. Was it on CBS?
Yes.
Is the way she talks, man. It's like she talks like an 8-year-old girl. I cannot get over it. I'm like, people do not talk to each other like that. This sounds so much like a man trying to write a girl who doesn't have any experience with women at all. The conversation between her and the sister having sex with the Black Canary or the White Canary, that whole thing, I had to stop. I was like, people don't talk like this. I don't know.
It's bad.
That's just me. Again, grumpy old man. That's me. Grumpy old man.
Fremont Street, ask your mom. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, he does. I'll answer for him. What do you think pays for this podcast, buddy? Yeah, should have gotten pissed during the wedding, right? Unless Iris is passive aggressive or something. Well, she could be.
Yeah, if you've watched the show, she is very passive aggressive. So I wasn't surprised at all. She got pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, the dialogue is just cringy, Jody. That's the thing is the fun aspects of the show are the costumes and how many superheroes they bring in, and I'll always look back on it fondly for that. But it gets old after a while, and we actually do want to have a show, an entertaining show, and they definitely try. I think they've spread themselves too thin. I think if they would have stuck it to 3 shows at most, it would have been great. Dennis is really looking forward to Black Lightning. I watched the little trailer. That looks pretty good. I just hope it's different. I don't want just another CW show,
I think that's the reason why they're not tying it to any of the other CW shows. I think they realize that it just needs to be its own separate universe and happen there, which I think is kind of smart.
Yeah. And that's mainly, time-wise is the main reason we don't cover it. Like there's just, we wanted to do one CW show for all the shows, but we could never decide on a time for it. So
and John was, late and, and that's almost.
Oh, John's busy though. John's got like 8 million irons in the fire. He's starting his Dungeons and Dragons channel.
I was trying to make a joke and then it all of a sudden faltered.
It's okay. John is starting a Dungeons and Dragons Twitch channel that we will be plugging. He should be starting in February. He's got the players and everything. It's very impressive.
Jody, the Teen Titans show doesn't have anything to do with the Berlanti universe either. And the Black Lightning one is taking place. It's done by Berlanti, but it's not done in the Berlanti verse. So it's supposed to be a different, I don't even think they're calling it a different Earth. I think they're just saying doesn't happen, that none of the other heroes are there.
They left the door open for them to cross over. It is a possibility, but I think they're being vague about it. But we'll see what happens
what the ratings are like.
Well, I mean, yeah, because if CW cancels these shows, which I think CW is partially owned by CBS, maybe, I don't know.
No,
Warner Brothers.
It's Warner Brothers.
Okay, so they own the rights to that. So maybe they cancel the shows and they keep a couple for the DC streaming network. That would be a smart thing to do. yeah, it's good to keep it self-contained. I don't know what they're going to do with that. There's going to be too many damn streaming networks. That's where we can end this. There's going to be too many streaming networks. It's going to be like, and I'm not the first or will probably be the last to say this. It's going to be like paying for cable again. And then with net neutrality coming or ending, which I don't think as bad as everybody says it's going to be, because we didn't have it before 2015. I think there might be a time where somebody really does try to like stick it to us, as far as like charging for Facebook or charging for YouTube. And I think the minute that happens, there'll be another company who won't, and that company will succeed. And the one that charges you will fail. If they all try to do it at one time, that's called collusion. That's against the law. So I don't know where it's going to go, but that's been their plan from the beginning. And what I mean, I mean YouTube and Facebook, they've always had a business plan. And I remember them talking about this forever ago is how do we build people? How do we make money? Well, it started with advertising, but if they can get away with, if they have a service that people believe in enough that they would pay $5 a month. I know there's people so addicted to Twitter that they would pay money to be on Twitter. I would not, but they would.
And I think Amazon actually has the right model, I guess you could say. You're paying $99 a year for Amazon Prime. That gives you access to not only your shipping and stuff, but also your content too. So your movies, your TV shows, all that kind of stuff. And I think as long as you're offering something else on top of that content, that is the right way of doing it. And you're just doing the streaming service and trying to charge $10 a month. No, not going to happen.
No. And and I was debating this with John on our messenger, and he was afraid people were going to charge twice. And I kind of like what you just said, we already are being charged twice for a lot of stuff. I mean, that's already happened. But we aren't forced to. I don't have to be part of Amazon Prime. I don't have to get Netflix. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I like what it's funny, Jody, that you bring up Elon Musk. That he should create an alternative internet to screw the I think that's exactly what would happen. Somebody would come along and make something open. And there's already municipalities that want to have free internet access. See, the internet providers don't own the internet, so they can charge whatever they want to provide it. The problem is they're going to have competitors. So if they want to start sticking it to people to do packages like a Facebook, YouTube package, I would just, if I was one of the providers, I'd keep the things the way they are now, and you would kill. That would be the company that would win, because we all have our limits. I mean, look at the TV ratings, look at the NFL ratings, movies. People aren't going to movies. If they aren't Star Wars or Marvel, people aren't going to movies anymore because they're getting expensive and preachy. And people have their limits, and there's also this wonderful thing called YouTube that, my kids watch exclusively when I allow them. Well, the older one can do whatever they want. He's an adult, but they watch exclusively, and neither of them have shown any interest in wanting to see The Last Jedi at all. And I think I'm a pretty nerdy dad. They like that stuff, but I don't know.
I think on that point, we should probably.
So Twitter is now the new crack. To people who are into it, yeah. It's weird how Twitter has not grown, but the people who are into Twitter are freaking into Twitter.
Yes.
There's a lot of YouTubers. I'm sure you guys see. There's a lot of YouTubers out there who get a lot of video ideas from arguing on Twitter. So good for them. Good for them. All right, yeah, this is a good time to end it. The internet, for all its flaws, should remain free, meaning not controlled. A surcharge, sure, charge us a fair rate, but no one should tell others what they can or cannot surf. Agreed.
There should be no throttling.
There should be no throttling, and if it is, we should. The problem is we can't trust each other. If us consumers, I hate that word, all got on the same page, at least for one thing, it should be this. It should be don't F with our internet, or we will kick you out of office. We will not buy your stuff, and we'll walk away and do other stuff. And that's what I do. If something really pisses me off, I just stop buying it. Like Star Wars, like this movie, I'm not going back. I'm not buying anything Star Wars anymore. I'm done, and that's fine. If people like this, that's cool. Good on them. But what you've done to the one character I cared about, two characters I cared about, is you ruined it. You ruined the legacy. You've ruined the original trilogies. I don't even want to watch them anymore because it's just going to remind me that eventually his son stabs him in the gut with a lightsaber, and Luke Skywalker defeats the Empire and redeems his father, only to go and become a hermit on a freaking island. Yeah, living off porgs. No.
Porgs and fish.
Yeah, I think the fear is the big boy corporations will just swallow any new startups trying to create competition. Yeah, the only thing stopping that from that happening is these investors that are in Silicon Valley that are pumping so much money into the new thing. But once things settle down and get established, it's gonna be a big problem. What net neutrality is, it's Google versus Comcast. I mean, like, honestly, I'll side with Google, but there's still a big company that I have no emotional event other than they're on YouTube. So they own YouTube. So thank you for that. And I really don't like Comcast.
I don't like Comcast either.
Yeah. And we'll end it there. Dennis, any final words there, bud?
Thank you everyone who stayed up late in other countries to watch us. Thanks for being here. And also thank you guys for all your comments. I think this podcast wouldn't have existed for this particular one, especially without everything that, we've been interacting with you on this. It's been a lot of fun, honestly. And we look forward to doing this again with you guys soon. I believe Friday, right? Next Friday.
Yes. Next Friday, 8:00, Dennis and I are going to try to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before the episode starts. Worst case scenario, we might push it back. We don't want to push it too late, though, for you guys out there. And we're going to recap Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and talk about the news. So it'll be a live chat. So far, Dennis is caught up. I've watched the first 2 hours, and I liked what I saw. So,
yeah, it's been good so far. I've actually just caught up on Friday night's episode today, so I'm good.
Thank you, Bam. Thank you for being
Bam.
part of it. Yep. Hector, Jody, Doug. I want to go back. And Amparillos. All you guys. Yeah, I'm terrible at that. Ghost Bear 177. Thank you guys so much for participating and subscribing and watching us. We love you guys. Yeah, this is hella fun. So we're going to see you next Friday at 8. Our next recap will be Runaways at 9:30 Pacific time on Monday. And John and I will be here for that one.
We are done now with Mr. Robot. We had another season conclude. Orville is on a break for right now. And we have Happy on Wednesday as well.
Yes, Happy. Yeah, the only two shows we're recapping for the next week or so is going to be is Runaways and Happy. We're going to find other shows. We're going to do Black Mirror, Doctor Who Christmas special. I might be solo on that one, but we will be live right after it airs Pacific time for the Doctor Who Christmas special on Christmas Day. I've got permission from my wife.
Sorry, I was just laughing at Ampolero saying, I guess I just have to keep coming back until you can pronounce it.
I've got homework, okay? That's a way to keep coming back.
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Take us out, man.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America, and everywhere else.
Yes. And may the small folks sing songs of your greatness. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.